Office for Startups in Warsaw, Poland, and the occasion is the 100th WarsawJS Meetup. Give me a big hand. Come on, give it to me. Yeah. 100. Now, as I said earlier, we also want to welcome our guests who are watching. We're live streaming on YouTube and also on Facebook and also on Twitter. So for all you people out there in the world, at home and abroad, welcome. We really hope you really pay attention. We've got some very interesting stuff for you tonight. Wish you could be in the room with us. You have no idea what you're missing. So I'm very, very honored. Well, let me start. Okay, they told me not to talk about myself. However, anyway, I woke up this morning. Okay, and no jokes. And you know, I was feeling like my back wasn't really quite right, and I thought to myself, I'm feeling like I feel like I'm 100 years old, and it was like 100, 100, something, 100. What is that? And I was like, right, it's today, the 100th Warsaw JS Meetup, and I'm very honored, humbly, to be here with you all today. Such fine individuals, and this is, by the way, my lucky day, 13th of January, Friday the 13th of January. So we're all very lucky today, I promise. Let's see, it's going to be live, as I just told you. Let's talk about our organizing team and give all of them a hand. First of all, as you just saw, our founder, illustrious founder, Mr. Piotr Migdał. The person who makes it all happen and really takes care of the important stuff in terms of making sure that the lights stay on, Gabriela Chuha. Hey, Gabby. The beautiful Gabriela Chuha, I should have said. See, it's my own rule. Maciej Machniewski, who does our social media and helps us with our media campaign. Maciej, we love you. I hope you're watching. Yeah, and that's me. Barry Salone. Thank you, thank you, thank you. They say I need no introduction. Okay, and now my heart. Speaking of the heart, a woman who collaborates with me also with Radio IT. By the way, look it up, please. Like us and subscribe. By the way, like and subscribe also to the WarsawJS pages on Facebook and the YouTube channel and also on Twitter. The person who makes my voice sound so wonderful, Louisa Haas in the back, controlling the tech. Louisa, the mechanic, I call her. In addition, we have a lot of volunteers who make this all possible. We have Piotr Sławiński, who I've seen in the room. Where is he? Yeah, he's taller today. I don't know what he's eating, but he's taller. Wen Yao Lin, we love you, just came in the room. Your timing is amazing. Kasia Kowalczyk. Kasia, you here? Yeah, she's here somewhere. I thought I saw her. And Mehdi Akbari. Where are you, Mehdi? I saw you before. He's here as well. No, give him a hand, give him a hand. We need your energy because it's your energy that makes this work. Question, what is WarsawJS? Let me try to get this mouse thing working because I don't know why that's there. All right, so WarsawJS is, we're here to support both professional and novice software developers, and we provide an IT community which we intend to accelerate the process of, thank you very much, education by sharing our knowledge and experience. This sharing part is really, really important. That's really why I'm here, because you guys are speaking another language, you can code, you can really decrypt, you can do a lot of things that us normal mortals cannot do. And the fact that you share this knowledge with each other is something that's really great. So give yourselves a hand. That's right, we need at least that level of enthusiasm, so keep it up. Let's see, our mission statement. Okay, is anyone here for the first time? What is going on with this thing? Is anyone here for the first time? Okay, first timers, welcome, 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 welcome. Just to let you know, we have a code of conduct. It's called the Berlin Code of Conduct, and what that means is that we're going to be nice to each other. We're going to be polite. There will be no offensive language permitted or tolerated. And it has to do with not expressing any discriminatory language or doing anything that is unkind based on race, gender, age, religion, color of shoes, I don't know what. Anyway, we really, really appreciate that so far. I've been here for about 3 years. 3 is my favorite number, like Nikola Tesla. And 3 years is about 36 meetups. So everything's working out for me today. We need you to be as kind as you always are and really provide a very safe environment for this very diverse community. That's the Berlin Code of Conduct. Was that clear? Was that clear? All right, that's what I'm talking about. All right, what is this? Oh, wow. We have currently 6,167 members, and that's an astonishing number. And I suspect that after this meetup, it's going to grow exponentially very quickly. Please recommend to your friends, send them here, send them to our page as well, because there's always room for one more. Right? All right, WarsawJS.com. That's our website. Please look us up and tell us what you think. Finally, we get to the most important part of the evening, and this is where I need to hear, we need to hear a thunderous applause, okay? Because without these folks, it ain't happening, all right? To be more formal, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, our sponsors are Box, Evolution, Call Stack, Fresha, Daft Code, Prisma, and Xfang. And we want to say thank you so much to, of course, the Google campus for hosting this event, because without them, this is just the appropriate environment for this particular meetup, because we're standing, balanced right on the edge of the future, as I'm sure most of you are aware. There will be a contest this evening. And this means that if you have the, whatever that takes, you have an idea, you have something you want to say, and find. Oh man, you're kidding. Okay, I would like to say I'm disappointed. So there'll be no opportunity for lightning talks this evening. However, that will save for the 101st meeting. If you're interested in winning or getting a discount for a 1-year JetBrains license, please find and contact Konrad Kowalski. Where is Konrad Kowalski? That's the guy way in the back. And we promise, yeah, can you stand up for a second so everyone knows what you look like? Yes. This is the guy you want to find if you want to get a 100% discount for a 1-year JetBrains license. That's just an extra bonus on top of all the fun and entertainment tonight. All right, so welcome to Campus Warsaw. As I just said, they said that this is a place for those of us who never stop starting. Let me see. My, którzy nigdy nie przestaniemy wystartować? Coś podobnego? I don't know. This is so difficult translating from Polish into English. Occasionally, I might spit out a couple of Polish words. So please, my forgiveness to our audiences abroad. We are going to have a speaker come up in a moment, a presentation. Alexander. Yes, from Google Campus, who would like to make a short presentation and say a few words to you. And can I invite you to the stage? This guy helped me earlier. I appreciate it very much. Welcome, Alexander.
Hello, thank you. First of all, I guess 13th of January is still the right day to wish you all a Happy New Year. So Happy New Year. And also, congratulations, 100. Wow, that's the good number.
I'm 100.
Yeah, happy birthday. So a few words about the Google for Startups initiatives. Last year, we kicked off the Ukraine Support Fund, where we had 58 startups from Ukraine. We supported both financially and also with the mentoring. And this March, we'll have an event here at campus where you could learn more about their stories, but also have a discussion about the Ukrainian ecosystem in general. And also 2023 is kicking off with a great event, because this is our first event here at campus in 2023. But there are coming more. Next week we'll have a Game Camp Lite. I know if there are any mobile gaming developers interested, but this is one of our initiatives that we have regular here. And also next weekend we have a great hackathon, 99.1 hackathon about the media and the disinformation problem. So if anyone of you would be interested to joining the hackathon, feel free to sign up on the website. And of course, I invite you all to sign up to the newsletter and stay tuned with all our initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We really, really appreciate you for having us here and for being providing such a great space, which made it possible for me to hook up my telephone, go on the Wi-Fi, get both laptops going, and be very comfortable in front of such a warm audience. All right. So I promise there's not going to be a lot of fluff tonight, so we're going to get right to it. Our first speaker is someone who is, wow, okay, I'm going to tell you what this is about. I'm here and very excited, especially about this presentation. Not the only presentation I'm excited about. However, he is a quantum physicist and also a data visualization specialist and AI consultant. He has a PhD in quantum optics and information from the Institute of Photonic Sciences. He apparently is also has a PhD, I mentioned that. The main thing is that his topic is going to be ChatGPT. Has anyone heard of that? Okay, that was a joke. You're supposed to laugh. All right. ChatGPT and image diffusion. Should I be afraid or harness its power? I was asking myself the same question. I use it. I use it for creative purposes, and it helps me to understand that the future will be in the hands of the most creative. It also inspires and really promotes clear communication because it only will do what you tell it to do. It's like having an assistant that has no ego. Or does it? All right, so welcome to the stage, please, Mr. Piotr Migdał. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, and thank you for this wonderful introduction. Okay. So welcome everyone. Actually, this presentation may be a bit edgy. I hope not too much, but those are topics that basically, well, capture a lot of our emotions, and I think are and will be impactful both to our work lives and in general the future. So I'd like to talk about two topics about AI-generated content. One is about images, and the other is about text. By text, I mean anything. So not only text as in what we say and what you write, but also, for example, code, mathematics, and anything that can be written as a sequence of characters. And just curious, like a small poll, how many of you have ever used DALL-E or image or Stable Diffusion or any other algorithm for image generation? Like, okay, quite a few, I think 1/3. And how many of you have ever tried ChatGPT or any other text generation model? Oh, like almost everyone. So it's interesting, and so maybe you already know much more than I do. But it's like, but it would be also interesting to exchange opinions, exchange views that matter. So basically, I know that for some of you, you don't have much time. So just if you want to leave now, just there's a quick summary. And well, everything else will be the details. So when it comes to AI, which is artificial intelligence, it's an interesting topic because we used to call it, we used to call anything AI. For example, simple scripts that make bots or bots moving in a game or any AI that replicates some functions of cognition, even very simple ones. But also it's interesting that once we move to deep learning, things sped up a lot. For example, less than 3 decades ago, one of the creators of this field, Douglas Hofstadter, thought that the grand challenge of AI is to distinguish A from I. And of course, like it's very, very hard to write programmatic rules to say what is A. And for example, it's A from various fonts. But 6 years later, it was a very, very simple introductory data set for deep learning. So basically, within the first 20 minutes, or maybe half an hour of my introduction to deep learning, participants were able to distinguish A from I. It didn't take years, months, or even days to do so. And when it comes to AI, but now, especially with models like GPT, BERT, and Stable Diffusion, we go much further. This one fake TED presentation, some kind of trailer from Prometheus, the movie, in which it was set in, well, the current year. And what was interesting, it was about creating androids that were able to think and act as humans, or maybe actually more efficient versions of humans. And we are not there yet. We are not there yet. Actually, it's very hard to create a robot that moves smoothly. But at the same time, we are able to create various images and texts which very often at a human level, and very often well above average human level. So very often it's below the experts, but sometimes it's well enough to accomplish quite a few tasks. And when it comes to me, I know it's very controversial, but when it comes to me, this kind of AI is one of the greatest breakthroughs when it comes to information and how we share with other humans. And those revolutions basically change the way how we interact with each other, with technology, and how much knowledge we can use. For example, with writing, we were able to transmit knowledge from a place to a place, even if we couldn't talk to again a person, or even if the person lived hundreds of years ago. And with each subsequent technology, it made it easier and faster to disseminate knowledge and skills. When it comes to AI, there's one difference that even within the internet age, it took not a year to get the first million users, but literally 5 days. So things speed up. So let's start from the simpler topic, image generation. By simpler, I mean, well, it's images. When it comes to text, it's slightly more general, and I will show that a bit later. So I was privileged to be one of the first users of DALL-E 2, except for OpenAI workers and employees, and had a lot of fun with that. For example, generating, it was one of my first images on the left, a spirit in a waterfall of hearts. Then there were some more tricky, controversial ones, like a tarot card with a pineapple pizza. And the third one is basically, it's Prometheus who turned into a solar panel salesman. Well, he moved with times, right? And it was kind of interesting because just after writing a few sentences, I was able to create such images. When it comes to my own benchmark, it's around, it's below, anyway, I wouldn't pass a benchmark of a 5-year-old kid. So yeah, so it's way above my level. And I had actually more fun. Also, various workers. This thing I think looks like a good picture for someone's LinkedIn profile. And it's also interesting just to see how much it can do, how much in detail, based on a short caption. But it's not always that easy, in that sense that, for example, this one is a stolen prompt. It's not one I discovered. It's one that I saw in someone else's generated image. And there's a lot of this tweaking, tuning, how to generate images we want. And of course, like even though I'm able to generate such things, I don't consider myself an artist. In the same sense, just because someone's able to use a mobile phone to create a picture does not mean someone is a professional photographer. But when people say that, oh, just AI art cannot be art because, and usually it's followed by because so, I don't believe that, in the sense that, well, you can say that, oh, yes, created by machine, not human hands, and you know, I think like artifact, it's from Latin to handmade something. But well, you can create things with a hammer or a paintbrush, so it's like the question is it still handmade or not? And also the people say that, oh, it takes just a click to get the results. But the thing is that you can say everything in the same way about photography. Yes, it also takes a click. But it does not mean that every single photo is a masterpiece. Actually, sometimes it takes years of training, years of hunting for the right scene, a lot of knowledge about post-processing, a lot of thinking what to create and how. And if you tried creating images with, say, Stable Diffusion, you will see that it's not that easy to create something really great. It takes a lot of effort. And sometimes you can be lucky. And the same way with photography, just you can create something wonderful by chance, but the same way as someone said that any smart person can write a book, but a writer is someone who is able to create more than one good book. And the same thing, I think, is with any kind of endeavors. And for example, like, there are quite a few things that when I saw, I was mesmerized. Like, wow, it's nice. And also, and very often, the same people who are able to not to create a single interesting image, but quite a few. So I think, yes, it's skill. It's not only using or downloading a model and having free gains from that. And when it comes to but I think what's important is how it impacts the market, how it impacts the workforce, how it impacts the general workflow. And I think there are two lines. One type of things is basically things that we can do cheaper or faster. So things that can be done by quite a few designers, artists. Just in our case, it won't take hours or days. It will take, say 100 milliseconds. And the other one is things which are different. So things which most likely wouldn't be created without this kind of technology. And I think both of the approaches are interesting. In one case, you can, for example, iterate much faster. So you can give an image to a customer and not wait for days for the second iteration, but say a few seconds. And after a single hour of testing, we can polish our graphics for a given target audience, as for which we would need at least a year or two with a typical workflow. And in some sense, it's not like even not like taking job from designers, but promoting everyone to a senior position when they lead the process. Because also is a question where to start from, what to do, what's the next step, what do you want to show? And the other one is basically a different tool. And in this case, it makes design process strictly better. By strictly better, I mean it adds one more tool to the existing set. People can use that, people can not use that, people can use that in some steps of the process, and potentially it's possible to create something different or better, or also faster sometimes. But there are quite a few dangers. One, which people talk a lot, is plagiarism. So basically that people can generate content from, from corporations, but also, which I think is like kind of, even more dangerous and sadder, from independent creators who put years or decades of their effort, and now other people basically use their work and they don't get neither credit nor compensation. And there are quite a few approaches to that, both legal-wise, ethical-wise, and economic-wise. And in my take is basically that it's a tool as anything else. So yes, you can copy someone's content with any other piece of software by hand. You can get inspired too much, when in principle, it's a different piece of work, but in practice, everyone can see that it's related to someone else. But there's one big difference, is that usually to copy someone's content, it takes ill will. So, okay, you see that you take someone's work, change a bit, and sell it somewhere else. But in this case, you can generate a very nice image and be oblivious to the fact that, for example, it's basically taken for someone else's style. So we need to think deep how to approach this problem in a way that we don't steal someone else's work. It's not an easy problem. I think it's very likely that we need to be able to check if a generated image is not too close to something that exists, both in the terms of content and in terms of style. And the question is like, okay, so some people say, oh, just with Stable Diffusion, there's no more room for designers, visual artists. I don't think so. So of course, it's a hypothesis, it can be verified, well, it will be verified in the next years, but I think it adds one more tool. Yes, it will change the market. Yes, it may be difficult for some people who need to change their change focus of their work, especially if they have invested years of work in developing the style. How things will turn out, well, I don't know exactly. And also, like, if you think that, oh, just with the perfect AI, it's possible to create anything to any level of detail with the best quality possible, it's not possible. It's not possible no matter what's the progress of AI. Why? Because of information theory. In the sense that, say, we have this kind of prompt, make a drawing about friendship. Is there a single picture that captures this idea? No one knows. So like 50-50, I guess. Okay. Some people think that there's a single picture that captures this idea, some not. I think there isn't. Like the same way with any story, with any book, with any poem, with any drawing or painting, there is a huge number of approaches from different angles, very often exactly because they are based on someone's experience, aesthetics, approach, culture, anything. And in this case, in principle, okay, you can expand this prompt, but at some point you expand this whole prompt to a whole book so that it will be able to draw a picture. And maybe it should be much simpler to draw it by hand. And the next topic is text generation. And even 2.5 years ago, it was at the level that it made, it was to some extent awesome, to an extent creepy. Here, like I wrote a text which was kind of philosophical or religious, and some people were actually shocked. Like, oh, just it's impossible to create this kind of content. Why AI is able to do so? And it felt like it kind of touched some kind of human sacrum, that, okay, machines can be fast, machines can be efficient, good at calculation, but why is able to create text that maybe makes sense? And the thing is that, it's a very simple model. It's not a model that actually has the concept of whole world, whole universe, anything. It's a very simple model that basically predicts the next word. So for example, if you have text, I really enjoy drinking, it can be a few different beverages, can be tea, beer, water, anything. And it turns out that with this simple task, if we create a very advanced model, like so-called transformers, which is like GPT is a transformer, other models like BERT also are transformers, we are able to teach it a language. We are able to teach it quite a few advanced concepts. Of course, we need to provide it, to give it a lot of data from various sources. And but what is important here, this model, by its design, does not think in a way we do. So it's not this kind of loop that it thinks back, it says something. It's not a conversation. So by design, it does not follow a typical conversation. It just extends a text. If this text happens to be conversation, it may extend a conversation. And what is even more important, it does not convey any kind of ground truth. So sometimes it may produce that something is correct, sometimes not. And if it happens that, for example, in the internet, there are much more conspiracy theories than true stories about a given thing or any way established theories about a given thing, it will generate a conspiracy theory. And here we need to be very, very careful which data we train it on. We need to be very, very careful how we evaluate it. And also, with every result, we need to be very careful. We need to double check it. It's not like that because it's awesome AI, it means that it's correct. Actually, sometimes it even does not try to be correct. And if you play it with ChatGPT, just like if you don't know what's under the hood, it's a very concrete GPT model with some kind of things around that, so it looks like a chat. And also, there are a few mechanisms to make it less likely to generate offensive content. It's not fail-proof. There were even stories of people who hacked ChatGPT to give them recipes to how to synthesize amphetamine. But it takes a lot of creativity to do so. But with such AI models, it's impossible to block it from such, because it may be somewhere and it's a huge thing and very hackable. With this model, this raw model, in this case, it's like the newest one is Text DaVinci 003. It's less it's less safe than ChatGPT, and sometimes it can generate some offensive content. So we need to be very careful if we give it to any user or client, because they not necessarily they will know that it's this model. They will just think that our assistant has very nasty views, or is very rude, for example. But as you see, this model it's text generation. So with each, word or token, it predicts the next word, and out of the whole list of words, it picks by chance one of possible extensions. Again, it's not about predicting any kind of ground truth, which is something actually is good, because thanks to that, it's not about ground truth. It's you are also able to generate fake data for testing algorithms, or you can generate, say, poems, which can be very metaphorical, not necessarily factual, and you can use it for quite a few other applications. And some people say, oh, just this model is dumb. I talked with ChatGPT, and it's not able to solve some very complicated questions about a very niche field in psychology. And it's true. Even more, sometimes this model makes very silly mistakes. For example, say, oh, -15 is a positive number. And when you try to correct this algorithm, they say, no, I'm very certain. Why? Because again, it's a text generation. So if it started from this conversation of being someone who is very stubborn and not good at maths, it will continue. It's likely to continue. So people like sometimes very surprised that, okay, it's so wrong. I tried to correct ChatGPT, but still it gives wrong results. And sometimes by design, it means that it'll be very hard. But at the same time, this one actually is by Facebook. There are some other ones. The next one will be by Google, so don't worry. They're able to solve very complicated tasks. If any of you have ever attended the Math Olympiad, you know that it's very hard. It's like one of the hardest competition for intellectual competition for high school students. So I guess most of you us here wouldn't be able to solve a single task for this Olympiad, myself included. And at the same time, some models are able to do so. So it's not only about solving simple tasks in maths, but actually solving one of the most challenging ones. Maybe not the most challenging maths, but still very ambitious ones. And it's similar when it comes to code. So it's also possible this alpha code is by DeepMind, which is, by Google. And they are also able to create whole solutions just based on their text descriptions. And very often, those questions are not simple. And it is at this level that, even like this one and other algorithms, at this level that they are able to solve typical advanced high school exams in computer science. Well, I don't know if you've, I guess, well over the average. And it's one thing. And second thing, we are at the next step that we can give a specification for a program and generate code, which used to be something basically impossible for a machine. Also, it's kind of interesting when you have these transfer models that you can, again, look at each single piece, see the same way as it generates content, but also there are some ways to inspect model and see where it looks at when it comes to the input text. So sometimes even you can see, oh, just it generates this kind of loop because it's so that it needs to, I don't know, calculate a given coefficient or a given number, or count a number, in this case, count the number of pairs which such and such. And when it comes to such things, regardless if you use it for image generation or chats or code generation, this is a new skill that we need to be learning, prompt engineering. So basically being able to talk with algorithms, having some kind of common language. Sometimes it takes quite a few of trials and error to be able to generate something which is consistent with our needs. For example, if you say something like, oh, let's generate an algorithm which sorts a list, maybe very likely it's going to write a very simple algorithm, maybe very dumb. But we say, oh, write a very fast, efficient, well-written and well-commented algorithm for sorting, it's likely that it's going to create an algorithm which is much better. Because again, here, it's not about generating the ground truth, but in some sense, priming it for generating what we want. And I think it will change the way how we write software. It's not the first step, because there were like dozens of steps that made it faster, starting from soldering transistors to punch cards, to assembly language, to C, to Python, to any other solutions. But for me, what is much more, is a much better analogy is Stack Overflow. So very often, it takes 5 minutes. Yes, thank you. So it's like very often it takes a few minutes to solve a problem that it used to take a few weeks because you will say a very tricky error in a software library. And but now just you look in, oh, I see, because someone else solved that. With this thing, we can do the same thing, but there is an issue that even though we can solve that, it does not mean it's correct. Or if you can solve that, it does not mean we can put this piece of code in our software. The same way as with Stack Overflow. Quite a few people just copy and paste algorithm without thinking. Sometimes it works, but even if it does, it may be dangerous, it might be incorrect, and it can have many other issues. So in this case, like, okay, so this picture, so it may be much easier to generate code and much harder to debug or even know if this code is relevant. Because this kind of algorithm can be much better at creating code which looks like correct, that code that actually is correct. And when it comes to those kind of algorithms, it already saved my time, because one thing is having fun. Fun with generating some texts, fun with images, but also, like, for example, once I need to write a recommendation letter. It's not like I made a fake one. It's like would be unethical and also wrong for so many reasons. Just I wrote bullet points, main achievements, main things I would like to complement, and it turned this list into this into this format of a recommendation letter. I didn't want to reinvent the wheel of a recommendation letter. So then I changed a few things, and it was done too. Thank you. But also, like, a few things, I even used it for software. Also, like, sometimes it didn't work, but actually it gave me an idea. And sometimes I even I used it for some emotional consulting, and it was very wise, much wiser than, I don't know, like benchmark of 95% of people, I have to say. And well, some people it's dangerous, and there are quite a few jokes about that. This like thing with the edges one, I guess, is like that. Basically, some people think that it's going to kill us all. I don't think so. It's like things like it's very. It's kind of a religious concept. We are thinking that basically we created that. It's like knows everything, has all power, it's immortal, and will bring us salvation doom. And I think it's a tempting idea, emotionally captivating, but at the same time dangerous. And if you go into details, I don't think it's the case. But at the same time, there are things that will matter. And the things that will matter is that it will impact workforce. It will depend how we use that, if it's open or not, and how we regulate that, which may be good for us, but not necessary, because sometimes regulations can be in favor of big players, not necessarily the society. And when it comes to biggest challenges, like just to finish, is like this long-term reasoning, relation to environment. But I think the hardest one for now is to be able to draw a hand. It's like very tricky. Give it a try. Thank you.
Hello, hello. That was fantastic, you guys. There's going to be a moment for questions in just a moment. I will say this. I'm sure, that was great, that AI technology has been around for quite a while, even before I was born, maybe. And there's the thing. Only when ChatGPT suddenly became popular, suddenly everyone is interested. You guys, I've never seen you paying such close attention to any speaker since I've been here for 3 years. These people are literally holding their breath for the same reasons that you mentioned. How will it impact the workplace? Who's going to make the money? I think it's a really important topic, and I'll just say this. Communication is really important because it's not creating anything. You are creating, and it is your tool. Sir, you have a question.
Thank you. Yeah, hello, thank you for your speech. Actually, I tried to make AI pictures by myself, but the one thing I worried is about the question not only for you, I wanted to ask how many professional artists do you have who are drawing the pictures you have at your home and you know them personally? And do you know how is complicated the life of artist who is like born with this talent from the every like from the first brief? Same with those who are writing something, writing books, who are becoming our culture. And this is our birth given talents. It's not like could be a person could learn how to be an artist. This is the vision of the world, the way of thinking, and how we are different. Isn't that a step to the middle of nowhere, where the most of people who have like mathematics skills are replacing like humanity itself, because these unique people, this is our like this is what we have in future, and etc. Remember when first Tesla, for example, launched the electric vehicle, nobody believed that it will replace like other types of petroleum, but it did. And the result, this is the final goal, to replace the petroleum cars. So what do you think of that? Thank you.
Well, it's like a very long question, so just, but in general, I said two things. One thing, this slide with the idea of friendship, it will depend on approach. It will depend on our talents, experience, everything. The second thing is the case with photography. So yes, photography changed the whole market of portrait painters. Did it, but and in this case, people move with the talents, the skills. Some things are transferable, some not. When it comes to, but I cannot say anything more, especially if such technology that changes at that pace.
Thank you for a great talk. I have a question. The question is if because you said that there is programs which make these drawings with lots of hands and so on, and it is not really we can say that it is not really reflection of reality, yes. And because I started to think if it is somehow reflection of reality, but for example, in minds of people that look at world and see people with more fingers or so on. So so it reflects. Yeah. Yes. What do you think about it? It is like the how to say it, switch of thinking in our minds.
Well, I don't understand the question, but in some sense, yes, some people have like 6 fingers. It's called polydactylia, but it's not the most common pattern because the fingers. And believe me, this is, I would say, a sane hand. Sometimes hands have no ends, or they have tentacles, or things which are not even physically possible. And I guess for some reason, those kind of patterns are right now much harder to reproduce by those kind of algorithms, very concrete ones. Or maybe, I don't know, well, actually there are some, I don't know, tentaclish overlords, and they want to send a message that, you know, that they are behind those kind of algorithms.
Okay, thank you very much. Folks, I'm under a lot of pressure here. I've been told that we have 3 minutes, and so please, for questions, you can always carry on this conversation later on during the networking. However, please make sure that your question is a question, meaning to make a whole statement to support your question will probably consume a lot of time. So keep that in mind. Thank you.
So I wanted to say that it was like really cool talk, and I really enjoyed that. And I have really brief question. Do you think that there's any type of signature that allows us to distinguish this AI-generated content from the human one? And if there's not, do you think it will be possible in the future or not?
It's a tricky question because it changes. So like when you have one algorithm, we can even use ChatGPT to say, okay, tell me if this paragraph is AI generated or not. And it usually makes a correct guess. But if you use ChatGPT and say, okay, write a text, but in a way that it does not look as if it was generated by AI, it does not work with the same guessing. And it's a key question. For example, when I look at text and it has no errors, no typos, it's very smooth, balanced emotionally, my guess it's AI.
Hi, Piotr. Thank you for your speech. It was very interesting. And you have very interesting and new idea for me. But now every engineer is a senior engineer. And because of it, I would like to understand a little bit more. I mean, now we need to work hard to understand how to build good architecture, good application. And you said that now everybody is a senior. So how you think will change the way to become a senior, because you cannot be a senior without an experience. You cannot understand from scratch how to build good application.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for this question. And actually, it's a tricky one because, well, it's in some sense everyone is a senior, but at the same time, as you said, to achieve seniority, you need to learn a lot, practice a lot. And in some sense, maybe the first step wouldn't change that much. Because again, if you don't know what is the pieces of code generated by AI, you don't know if they make sense. And I think that it's easier to start, but at the same time, there'll be this, how to say, gap from the level that you are able to write code, that we are able to understand it much better and understand the whole ecosystem, the whole architectural program to use it. Well, again, it's not an easy answer. I think you can extrapolate on, say, Stack Overflow. I think at least it's for me, to the best of my own knowledge, the best example to refer to.
All right. Listen, I'd love to take everyone's questions for you. The thing is that we really are under a slight constraint of time. And so we're going to encourage that if you have any more questions, because this was a great presentation, as you can see, everyone, they're literally hanging on your every word. I've never seen this level of interest, at least as far as I remember. So if it would be okay to have a conversation later or accept questions during the networking, we would really appreciate it.
Of course.
One more time, Piotr Migdał, everybody. Give him a hand. Yeah, you switching something? So this was a really important topic also for me. First of all, I went to art school. And so I was the guy who used to, I told you I was 100 years old, right? So I was the guy who used to actually hand paint the designs on the fabric. Okay, I'm talking about like the kind of work-intensive labor that was immediately replaced by graphic artists. Like, graphic art, what's that? And I was worried. We're all worried. Will we ever be artists again? They're taking the money away. Well, as it turns out, the community is now much richer than it was before, thanks to technology and the fact that it does not create anything. You are the creators. Okay. Thank you. Where's my laptop? All right, so our next speaker. No laptop, no laptop. Our next speaker, Łukasz Walczak, is going to speak about how to update a UI library. Give him a hand and welcome. It's a huge hurry today. We're rushing everything. You ready? Go.
Can you go back to the first slide? I can just... So many slides. And I can just use the arrow. Okay. Hello, everyone. Today, I would like to present you the strategic approach to updating the UI library, including all the challenges and lessons learned during that process. And actually, it's an updated edition since from my last talk, which happened on the Warsaw Meetup. We do a lot of work and we developed some new capabilities. And today I would love to share everything with you. And mandatory slide about me. So my name is Luke and I'm software engineer at CallStack based in Wrocław. And I'm contributing to React Native paper from 2017. And I'm the maintainer of that library from 2021. And during that time, I became an author of over 100 merged PRs to that library. And thanks. And I'm also former contributor to the WordPress Gutenberg, mainly to the mobile part of that blog editor. And probably, as you might guess from my introduction, updating process will apply to React Native paper library to introducing the new material design generation called Material U. And what is React Native paper? For those who missed that library, it's a cross-platform UI kit library which contains a collection of customizable components and production ready for React Native, which are following the Google's material design guidelines. And it's mobile first package, but we support the web platform as well. So if you are wondering whether it's worth to use that, let me present some benefits. Paper is a great solution for creating an app prototypes or MVPs, where you want to mainly focus on the logical layer of your app and visual layer is just provided. It's kind of wasting a time to craft and style the same components like button inputs, toggles from the scratch again and again. And what's more, those components can have different brand colors since theming system is built in the library. Which can be additionally tailored to the user needs. And we do our best to provide components created for everyone. So we take care about the compatibility with the screen readers and also right to left languages. Those three aspects pay off in the development process acceleration and rapid time to market. So yeah, we can say that paper is a product, but it's also a solution, a product creation process, and definitely can help startups and enterprises. 2 years ago, I wrote an article about that, and it's still valid. So if you want to dive more into that topic, you can check the CallStack blog. Let's take a quick look at the statistic. Thanks to the fact that library is still maintained and developed in October last year, 2021, we exceeded over half a million monthly downloads. We collected 10,000 stars on GitHub and merged over 1.8 thousand commits. So I think it's about the time to present you how components looked in Material Design version 2. And in the meantime, if you would like to check those components on your devices, you can download the app from the stores. From on the right, you have the QR code. On my right, you have the QR code for iOS, and on the left for Android. Don't worry if you just miss the slide. Those QR codes will be also here. Because I also recorded a couple of components such as button, bottom navigation, floating action button, dialog, and also present you the typography on that video. You can pay the special attention to the bottoms tab colors and ripple effect when I was pressing that. To the floating action button shape and height, to the dialog container composition and basically border radius 0 shape container, which was kind of specific for that version, and also the number of typography variants available in Material Design 2. Okay, time to present the future. So Material U comes into play. And the current video is presenting exactly the same components, but adjusted to the latest material design generation. And except for the colors related changes, we can observe new component types. For example, in bottoms navigation doesn't have those candy colors and ripple effect, and received new animation. In the floating action button and in the dialog components, we can notice refined hives and shapes. And what's more, we also added an option for dialog icon at the top of the content. And the last example is the typography, which received 15 variants. In the previous version, you had only 5. So everything presented so far, you can find in the React Native paper version 5, which is introducing Material U, the third and the latest generation of material design. And did I really say everything? Yes, that's true. The present is the result of the past and the future, which means that both material design generation are supported in the latest paper version. In the example app, after opening the drawer, you can observe there is a switch which toggles between those two material design versions. And after turning it on, you can switch back to Material 2 and compare how components have been changed. For example, here you can observe how floating action button group animation has different configuration and backdrop color. At the beginning, when Material U has been released, I was receiving divided different personal opinions about that generation, and I'm still receiving them. However, it was clear for me, for my team, that paper would certainly support Material U. And we decided to went one step further and support 2 versions at the same time, because we have an R&D program in the call stack which let us kick off and maintain that process, because we have really solid team which could handle that. Because changes are mostly concern visual aspect, followed by API changes, so it was definitely possible. Because we believe it's better to have a choice, so it's up to user which material design generation fits more into the product or user needs, because it's easy. And no, definitely it's false, because easy can be 2 multiplied by 2, or 2 plus 2 multiplied by 3, but I heard it can be tricky though. But 2 versions multiplied by 3 platforms, multiplied by 2 modes, light and dark, multiplied by 2 writing directions, left to right and right to left, multiplied by the number of components, and their variation cannot be easy, especially when it comes to testing all possible scenarios with different props. So why 2 versions are supported? And time for some coaching mantras. We didn't bother because we believed that impossible is nothing and sky is the limit, and we knew that we can handle that. So since it was quite difficult and sometimes complicated process, what was the motivation? No. You and your happiness from the library, you as the community who will always have a choice, can have a choice, will always receive the updated version with fixed bugs. And at the same time, we wanted to provide the stability by limiting the release of many breaking changes. And recently, I was receiving a couple times the question, hey, Luke, does it mean that V4 won't be supported? And let me answer. So yeah, technically, that's true. There will be no more releases of V4. But practically, it's false, since React Native Paper 5.0 supports both generations, and user can keep their existing design with the latest library. So in the center, there is a true. You can think about React Native Paper 5.0 as an extended and modified version 4. Okay, time to go through the update process. And how did it actually go? So everything start on the internal workshop where, with the team, based on the available resources as a new documentation and Figma kit, we were able to discuss the components changes, plan and organize the work, and we also prepare the strategy, and we order some food because we think better on the full stomach. And I know that Barry said that there would be no stupid jokes, but if there is someone from Bolt, Volt, Glovo, next time it can be your advert. We can order from your app. On the same meeting, we set a couple principles. So the first one is planning branching strategy. At first, we decided to create new branch from main called Next, and then we decided to merge all new pull requests into that branch. However, sometimes we pushed hot fixes to the main. That's why to release some patches to v4. And that's why at the end of the work, we had to rebase Next with main and finally we renamed main to 4.0 to rename Next to main. Since we agreed that two versions at the same time will be supported, we decided to add new property to the theme called version. And thanks to which user can define which material design generation should be applied into the project. We wanted to keep everything in one file covered by ithology. So we introduced some kind of indicator called isv3, determining which version should be applied. And we are not fans of that ithology. We consider different approaches, but at the same time, that one fits the most in that time. However, currently our goal is to improve and simplify that. And the last principle on our to-do list was highlighting props changes by adding some annotation like deprecated, supporter, or rename to avoid further confusions. In the next step, we went through each component and marked the most important differences in form of comparison table. And first two columns indicates the difference between version 2 and 3. Documentation already did that. However, we were considering those changes from the code base perspective, which you can see on the last column. For the instance, button height has changed, so we had to adjust spacing in its styles. Next change is related to the text within the button, and in v3 is using sentence case. So from the code perspective, we had to add default value for uppercase prop based on the theme version. Since in the theme there is a property called roundness, which indicates the roundness of common elements, we also had to introduce appropriate multiplier in button component due to the border radius change. And several components received new variants or modes, so we were discussing how to adjust their naming. And basically, we were looking for some compromise between being consistent with our code base and with material design. And based on the button example, 3 new types were introduced: elevate, field, and field tonal. And actually, field type was replacing what previously was known as contained. We decided to stick to that naming. That's why field is still named contained, and field tonal is named contained tonal. And based on the collected data, we were able to create tasks for each component. Changes were grouped in 3 sections. First, called new things for new modes, new sizes, new variants. Second, differences for changes mostly concerned like animation, shape, or elevation. And the last one, called to check, for the aspects we were not sure on that moment and required more investigation. For example, whether that specific component should have default shadow or no. And before we started the work over refactoring components, we refreshed the technology stack by updating TypeScript, React Native, Expo, and navigation, since we have the example app. All right, time to adjust components to Material U. And we started from the core components and the fundamental one. So the first one were theming and typography. And our first idea was to have exactly the same design tokens, naming in colors and typography as it's used in the Figma. However, we decided to replace the kebab case in favor of camel case. And I mentioned design token, so let me quickly present you what it is. Basically, the design token is the key representing the small, repeated design decision which creates design system visual style. Okay. Tokens can replace static values, which are, for example, hex codes for colors. And for the instance, the background color of that presentation is the primary 19 from the palette, and at the same time, primary 90 from the palette represents that hex color. And the same with the color text, which is named on primary container represents some kind of the color primary 10 from the palette and also represents the hex colors. And design token, as mentioned, also can be applied to the fonts, where in our example, under the key display large, there is an object with couple font properties. Okay, so once typography and theming were adjusted, we focused on crucial components. So surface, which is basically view container with predefined shadows, touchable ripple, and the rest of the components. Okay, from that step, we are refactoring components one after another by applying styles following the Figma kit. And I still consider myself a pixel-oriented developer, and I made sure several times that everything was in its place. But now, from the time perspective, I know that some details were overlooked. However, once styles were applied and props are refined, it's time to cover new things by unit and manual testing. So double checking on the real device by playing with them with different props configuration. And if manual testing presented some issues, we were applying them to finally were able to open the PR. In the meantime, we refreshed the paper website, updated the documentation to support props annotation, and we were updating a migration guide according to the components changes. The last phase was mainly focused on PR review testing, and the recipe for that step, it's not so complicated. Start from asking other teammates, reviewers, collaborators for additional review and additional testing. Then based on the feedback which you receive, adjust the comments, and remember to take some few minutes for the final testing to then press the merge button. And the last piece of the puzzle, and also the most exciting moment, is releasing the first candidate version. So time to party. But hold on, not so fast. A couple hours later or days, you are starting receiving the first issues related to the release candidates. And personally, I think it's even a more exciting moment, because that means that someone already tried the release candidate version and provided the feedback. And I even remember that I was observing the NPM statistics to check whether someone installed the RC. So quick look on the timeline to summarize where we currently are in the process. So in June 22, 8 months after releasing the material U, the first paper release candidate has been released. And 6 months later, 6 December, as a Santa Claus gift, we released the stable version. Okay, so let's take a look what happened during those 6 months. In the first wave, we were focused on material U adjustments. And it was a phase where we mainly collecting the feedback from users and applying fixes. Which means we added some missing capabilities into components, which we overlooked previously, or correct some components, color spacings, to match the latest guidelines. Second aspect were bugs affecting the whole library. They were not strictly related to the material U, and usually we're fixing them in parallel to the material U adjustments. And that's why, as I mentioned in the first slides, related to the branching strategy, from time to time we cherry pick them and released past patches to the version 4 as a response to the user requests. Okay, finally, the last stage was focused around new feature. So what's new? let me share the content. Let me share the new content with you. And starting from the tooltip component, which is displayed upon tapping and holding the screen element, used to present an informative text label, identifying an element. And it's one of the components that were missing in the library, and also in the previous version, and about which I received a lot of questions. So it was high time to introduce it for both material design systems. Second component is segmented buttons, and its new component introduced in the latest version. However, it can be understood as a refined version of toggle button, and it allows you to select options, switch views, or sort elements. It's intended to support single or multiple or multi-select variants and provide many customization options. Drawer collapsed item is newly created side navigation component that can be used within the drawer. It's representing the destination in the form of the icon, action item with icon, and optionally label. Paper library was always compatible with React Navigation library, and our goal is to maintain that approach. So along with introducing new theme color structure, which differs significantly from React Navigation, it was clear to us that some kind of helper to adjust both themes is more than needed. That's why we crafted Adapt Navigation theme, which accepts navigation compliant themes in both modes and returns the equivalents adjusted to the MD3. Based on the material theme builder and with the use of the package with algorithms and utilities that power Material Design 3 color system, we crafted a tool which allowed to generate two colors themes, light and dark, based on the provided source color. Created schemes, of course, follow the Material Design 3 and covers color structure from our paper theme. And tool is available in theming section on paper docs. And what user has to do is basically type the color and then copy the color schemes from generated JSON in order to pass them to the colors in the theme object. And I created Demo Sport app, and by using a dynamic theme, you can easily assign different color to the different theme. And for the instance, red theme is added to the red theme, and the same for the green color. And as you can see, dynamic themes works well with dark mode as well. And that's not all. We are going to extend its functionality by adding an option to support custom colors or secondary, tertiary, and neutral. So let me quickly check how to migrate from V4 to V5, but everything has been described in the migration guide, so let's treat it as a quick cheat sheet. Okay, maybe I will just, if I have only 5 minutes, maybe I will skip that, so since it's in the documentation, and I will focus on what we have learned during that process. So estimation. I cannot give you the ready-made solution for the estimation, but I can provide you some hints or tips, like what you should consider during the estimation. Expect the unexpected is the first one. So during the development, you will face some blockers which has been discussed within the team and resolved with the highest priority. So consider the time for internal discussion and finding the solution. Also remember about the time for manual and unit testing, especially when you have a lot of scenarios to cover. Feedback kit or documentation can have some updates, so also pay attention to observe their updates and add some buffer for it. And keep in mind that some components are more complicated than another. For the instance, have more variants or modes, or the code is even more complicated. So apply also the correct buffer for that. And Google mistakes. I know that we are in the Google space, but no hard feelings. Don't worry if you make mistakes, the best do them too. So on the right side, you can observe the fragment from the documentation, which is saying to not use navigation bar for fewer than 3 destinations. And on the left side, you can observe Gmail and Contacts app with exactly 2 tabs. Documentation also indicates to not elevate the chip button when it's pressed. However, on the left side, when I run the video, you can observe that large files or videos chip button are elevates. So yeah, which one then is correct? Google product or Google documentation? It's hard to say. But we are doing our best and to avoid mistakes, but we also failed. And in the first iteration of Adapt Navigation theme, which I introduced before, util was accepting only React Navigation themes as valid param keys. And Adapter under the hood was able to adapt colors from React Navigation theme, but only to the built-in material design free themes. In other words, users were not able to adjust navigation theme to their custom paper theme. And what's more ridiculous is that at the same time I was creating that tool for creating dynamic custom themes. And in order to fix that, we had to extend the Adapt Navigation theme to accept custom themes, but compliant with material design. And we also changed the param keys, light and dark, were renamed to React Navigation Light and React Navigation Dark. How many times you had the situation where you said, okay, leave it right now, at the moment, let it be like this, we will back to that topic, to not stop the process. Be careful, it's the beginning of the waterfall known as technical debt. And one thing is to be aware of that. Second thing is to plan how to pay it back. And of course, the sooner, the better. For the instance, right now in the paper, is when it's in the stable shape and community is satisfied, I hope, we are going to focus on the code base and solve, for example, those if conditions which I mentioned in the first slides, to basically avoid further components, maintenance issues, or confusions. And if you currently have snapshots in your code base and you are introducing new versions, take the advantage of snapshot diff library, and it can help you to properly test differences in components between versions. Supporting different themes is hard. We currently maintain types for both versions at the same time, and this led to many problems with paper, detecting the right theme for hooks and props used across the app. But we managed to handle that, and right now, by default, TypeScript works well whenever you change the value of the built-in theme properties, and it gets more complicated when you want to extend the default theme properties or change their type, but it's not so complicated. What the user has to do is create a typed hook called useAppTheme, for example, in their project based on the use theme from the paper, and start using useAppTheme across the components in the whole app. And the same flow applies to both generations. And to facilitate the process of writing migration guide, I recommend you to add proper PR description with the list of the changes, like introducing, replacing, duplicating props. But also you can achieve the same by introducing change sets, which can help you with explaining what has been changed or what will be released. And the last one, it's more like a hint, but keep in mind that releasing major version is the perfect time for breaking changes. For the instance, in paper, we renamed some props. I know. As my teacher said, the break is for the teacher, not for the students. So for the instance, in paper, we renamed and unified some props which differ from the common pattern. And also we replaced one duplicated library. And it's not something specific for breaking changes. However, new introduced library, new introduced package has to be installed as a pure dependency. So from V5, user has to install it together with paper. And from that place, I would like to thank my awesome team: Daniel Szczepanik, Olimpia Żurek, Aleksandra Desmur-Slinczewska, Jan Jaworek, Kevin Werszczyński, Hur Ali, Satya Sohu, and Bruno Castro. And I would like to also thank everyone who made a contribution to that library by creating PR, providing feedback, some ideas, or reporting the issue. And that's it for today. Once again, I'm Luke, and it was a pleasure to present you my case study. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, I know you can't hear me. That's why I'm doing this. Okay. Luke or Łukasz? Naprawdę. Which is the real one? I appreciate the Łukasz. I mean, listen, guys. One guy said to me once, I said, what's your name? He said, Michael. I said, oh, really? Where are you from? He said, Wrocław. I said, wait a minute. Is your name Michael or is it Michał? He said, well, I say Michael because maybe you might not be able to pronounce it. Never change your name for somebody. Did you say Daniel Szczepanek? This one? Okay. I thought this was a name that I recognized. Okay, how many are UI designers in the room? Anybody? UI? Congratulations, by the way, on your release. Congratulations. Do you have a question, Artur? Here you go. Let's see. Is this working? Is this working? No. Yes, no, yes, no. Can you hear it? Turn it up, Louisa.
No. I'm also the maintainer of a huge UI library. I have taken a lot from your talk. I think, did everybody understand the deep wiseness in his? So I highly recommend, over the years you can get back to this question. Yeah. So you have made 163 pull requests out of 1,800. Could you? I won't be going through all of them. Do you maybe remember some special one which you are especially proud of? Like there was something interesting, or you had to work a lot on this, or you were re-implementing it a few times. Sometimes I'm doing things for 3 times. I would be very glad to hear that. Thank you very much. Wonderful talk. Bravo.
Thanks.
Bravo.
Thanks for the question. So let me answer that. And yeah, I remember one PR the most because I was creating the floating action button group component, the one which you can recognize from the Google Gmail app, the one with that speed dial buttons. And why it's so important for me, because it was the first component which probably had some complicated animation inside the paper. But also I remember that one because I when I was in the process of creating that component, I created some sneak peek on the Twitter, recorded that animation and just share with the whole community and my I think at the time 50 followers on the Twitter that I'm creating something new to the paper. And even Dan Abramov liked my Twitter, so I was like, whoa. So it can be that component has to be dope. Like if even Dan Abramov likes my tweet, yeah. So that's the one which I remember so much.
Hey, thanks for your awesome presentation. And I think it's really hard to maintain an open source project because I never did this. So my question is, is it hard? Because at the end of the day, it will not pay your rent.
Like in the podcast which we had with Łukasz, and also it was about the paper. I mentioned that open source for me was like the springboard from my commercial project. So basically, in 8 hours, I'm working on the commercial project, and I also have some dedicated time in Callstack for maintaining the library. As I mentioned, also we have the R&D program which allow me to do that. But yeah, just is it hard to maintain? Yes, it is, because you have to check the PRs, answer people, solve their issues, or basically try to replicate or reproduce their issues and manage all the things. But there are also other aspects, maybe not related strictly to the code base, but the project management, just trying to find new collaborators, or trying to manage the Twitter account, even just to provide some context, creating materials like articles, podcasts, yeah, so from the like the holistic perspective, it's I guess hard process.
One more time, a huge applause. Congratulations and thank you. Congratulations on your release, Łukasz. And yeah, for some reason, we're under a little bit of pressure of time today, and that's because, only because, we're going to do something a little different today at this meetup. We're going to have something that we call a fireside chat. Now, I'm not sure if that means that we're going to get a chance to interact with these two interesting guests. However, I'm about to present to you our next two speakers. The first is Maria Belka, and I'm going to tell you about her. She's a business mentor who deals with the ad tech industry and blockchain technology. Pay attention. Since 2011, she's been involved in the creation of technological startups and specializes in strategy planning and project management. She is CEO and founder of the Mentor for Starters Foundation. This is starting to sound like she really has a lot of information to share with you guys. In addition, she was twice elected as curator of the Global Shapers Warsaw Hub in 2014 and 2015, and 2017 and 2018. So now I'm really listening and I'm very, very interested to meet this. I don't think we've ever met. Have we met? No. In addition, what else is happening? She's a graduate of the University of Geneva and the University of Birmingham. She's a PhD student in finance at the Warsaw School of Economics. There's so much more to say about her. However, you'll find out more when she gets onto the stage. In addition, together with her, we're going to have a presenter whose name is, oh boy, this last name, here we go. Okay, it's Ahmad Piraiee. Is that right? Yes? Ahmad, we met earlier. Oh, okay. So you see, it's not only Polish that I'm talented with. That was a little challenging. And Ahmad says briefly about himself that he's a marketing and communication expert. Silence in the room. In Warsaw, we love an expert, I got to tell you. And in blockchain advisor and fintech and insurtech influencer and public speaker. He's a startup mentor who provides consultancy to Fortune 500 companies. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage our next two speakers, Maria and Ahmad. Please, welcome. Let's check to make sure your microphones are working.
Hello.
Nice to meet you. My pleasure, finally. I mean, wow, what a CV. My pleasure, my pleasure.
Thank you, everybody, for not standing up and getting out when, listening to all the intros. We are, I believe, two interesting individuals who would love to get to know more about yourself that you will see in a second.
Yeah, I mean, you know what they say? They say usually, like, don't go to the room that you're the smartest person. That's why we're here. So it's just like, if any of you guys know how much we can code, and now we're in the WarsawJS, so it's just like, yeah, that's going to be a good part.
The smartest person, I think we're on the safe side, right? We'll have plenty to learn from you guys. So thanks for having us. Let's sit
Would you like
down.
to maybe have a seat?
Welcome.
I think the MC just did a very good job introducing us. So if you guys really would like to know something more, maybe you just would do 30 seconds.
Yes. More introduction. I think. Hi, I'm Maria. I haven't learned to code yet. Maybe one day I will. And I am full aware of the importance of the matter. I'm an observer and participant of the ecosystem here in Poland and in Europe. For Google, I am associated with the Google for Startups mentorship program, and I think the rest was said. I'm also a researcher, soon defending my thesis.
And a mother.
And what?
And a mother. Come on.
Yes, I have 2 boys, 2 startups with endless rounds of financing, and probably that will never be, no perspective for investors, I imagine. There's a seed investor, and I think that's it.
So yeah, I mean, full disclosure, I have a mastery in IT. I'm a hardware engineer, but one thing I learned that maybe I was not really cut for that part. So I literally failed my first startup, and then I really understood maybe I have to go a little bit more into soft skills. So I did a bit of a study in marketing and economy and sociology, and then later, something around 11, 12 years ago, I came to Poland. And if I will count how many times people ask me why Poland, that's a whole different channel that we can try to have a 2-hour conversation about that. I started basically promoting startups around 2011 here. And how many of you guys were doing something around startups in 2010, 11? Nice. That's exactly all of you that came to my events. You know, it's just like, and easily, because in the beginning there were like, you know, like 10 people would come over and they think it's either multi-level marketing or, you know, like I'm selling something. And I'm so happy just to see such interesting crowds just coming over here. So we technically have this, let's just call it an intro, just to tell you that we just want to see this kind of a, let's just call it a clash between the world of entrepreneurs and the world of programmers. How much do they have overlap, and how much, let's just say, you can try to basically even see if you can jump from one world to the other.
So let's start with, guys, reveal yourselves. Who is a programmer here? Raise your hand. Okay. Who's an entrepreneur? Okay. Who's a...
No, I just like that entrepreneurs are like this and programmers are like that.
Are there any entrepreneurs who want to be converted into programmers?
Don't be afraid.
And the other way around, any programmers who are thinking, excellent, we have one person.
Yeah,
Three.
I think all of you guys listen to this
Another one
GPT presentation, right? It's just like, that's also true. Yeah.
I don't think it's working anyway. It's, you know, at no capacity.
So let's just start with this one, because if you see, even the ratio tells a lot. So I was just partially joking. I was just saying, if you guys ever saw this kind of like religious debates, you know, like they bring, I don't know, like, you know, like atheism and Christianity. And I was like, I just want to see by the end of this conversation, how many of you are going to change your language and or your religion? So we just want to basically see both parts, as long as half an hour is going to really help, you know, that you're going to just change the rest of your life with this. And then we will just see where we can go from here. Like a year ago, that was a conversation we were just having together. I was supposed to hire a guy that I'm not going to say from which company, because it's kind of connected to here, so I'm not going to say that. He was trying to change his job, and he was getting something around like 28,000, 30,000, and good salary, maybe. And I was just like, okay, so maybe I can give like 10% more, and then you can start working for me. And then like 2 weeks later, he just came back and was like, I changed my mind because I found a job for 100,000. I was just like...
So are you implying it's the dream job to be a programmer? Are there
That's
only
exactly
upsides?
the point. Yeah, it's just like, money is everything, you know, it's the first thing. And then another thing, you're an entrepreneur, you know, you have all the status and everything, and you see it's like, oh my God, I'm never going to get that much money in on my salary, right?
I mean, it's a different business model, right? In your head, right? The price, if it's ever coming, it's far ahead in the future. So it's different when it comes to your payment and your salary, right? You, as an entrepreneur, you don't really think about your salary. You're more into, you know, this creating something bigger and maybe getting having it bought by someone really wealthy. But yeah, when you, we would like really to have some of your insights. Like when you think, who really runs the show? That's our question. Like in the company, is it the CEO who has all the, who has the title, who has the power, or is it actually the programmers, the programming team, the head of programming who really holds the, you know, the strings?
Is there any courageous?
Thanks. So I think the customer run the company.
Oh my God! I didn't know we have philosophers. Piotr is the only philosopher in the room, but but seriously, these days, how many of you guys are full stack? And keep your hands up if you don't mind. How many of you would like to change your job? You see, that's my point. Like, if you really want to start your job, I don't know any money that I can give to a full stack developer to be able to join my idea. So I don't think the client nor the idea these days matter. Like, when you talk to full stack developers, you really feel like you're talking to Jesus. I don't know. It's just like, and I was like, do you want anything? And I was like, I'm good. Like, how about salary? And I was like,
answer your question, I think there are two stages. At first, before companies making enough money, programmers are ruling. So that's why you are highly dependent on programmers. But once you have this equilibrium point where you are earning enough to stay sustainable and not worry about your upcoming future, then actually the CEO has to have the idea for the company. So if somebody thinks otherwise, I would be happy.
Response. I have a response for everything, however.
Sure. There is this gentleman also in the back that he is very enthusiastic about it. So perfect.
I think that at some big companies, actually the HR departments may be ruling, since they decide who the company hires, so they select what the company becomes.
That's also at the further stage, right? I think most of the startups I've known, they have this HR debt before there's a HR department in the company. There's much happening in it before. But when we're talking about the programmers who are really holding the power, there are also great programmers who created companies, right? Who started coding and decided to create completely new programs. We have Bill Gates, we have Zuck, we have who else was there?
John
Carmack. We have
the list goes on and on. It's just I just wanted to put it into the context of, I think we're also just going a bit into the IT sector, because I also have a feeling that I just met one of the guys in the startup ecosystem that he just left his job and started making customized pens. You know what I mean? Like, we also have that kind of, let's just say people that they just go extra miles out of that. But one thing that I see on and on when coders either become entrepreneurs or do this kind of stuff is just say that because I don't want to have a boss. That's one of those things about entrepreneurship that I genuinely think is a massive myth.
Exactly. Entrepreneurs do have bosses.
When was the last time you managed to go home at 5, 6?
Well, I mean, I have other bosses at home, but so that there's a clash. But basically, there are extra hours.
I just have 2 plants at home, but it doesn't really change the fact.
Okay.
Here, Mike is here. So, a bit back to the question of who's more important, the CEO or the customer, or actually the entrepreneur. Who is the most? I heard some blockchain in the room, so we might be able to bring in the word DAO. Maybe this might be the new solution or the new answer for the question: who's the most important? CEO, employee, customer. Thank you.
I mean, that's definitely a valid point. I mean, decentralization is the factor, but I don't think it undermines the human factor part of that, because that is something that I don't think even an AI would be able to do that unless we're just basically just being wiped by the GPT-4, and then after that, all of us are just gonna find another planet. We have somebody here also.
I just think the person with the vision is the one who has the most power.
Person with the vision.
Absolutely.
Some people say that execution is vision for breakfast, so probably.
Well,
the programmers.
The topic of joining startups, I think as an established developer or programmer, I don't really want to search for another job in 2 months when the startup is died. I guess this is one of the big issues.
Maybe we can also quickly have a chat about the motivation.
Wait, there's a question.
Actually, I wanted to refer to motivation. I think you said so. The 100K salary you've mentioned before is, I think, highly dependent.
Too low?
Yeah, no. I think it's highly dependent upon demand. And we can refer to this NFT boom that was like a year ago at the very top levels of popularity. You could like see plenty of job offers for smart contract developers. They were like really, really top salaries, and the market like decreased 97%. And I think we could take a look now, but I think the number of those offers is very low. The point I'm trying to make is you should really filter it through your values. If you want to get a quick cash and quick money, that's a cool idea, but take a look at longer perspective, and you may lose this job very, very quickly, right?
And do you find it possible to always stick to your values and with your? I'm just asking. It's like, is the market so comfortable and the programmers are so much in demand that you can really choose your destiny?
We are in this comfortable position where actually we can, even though if we bet on some technology, it's still possible, you know, like.
And before you Ahmad will start the motivation topic, I wanted to ask something. I'll mix things up a little bit. So if I read recently a research saying that there's a high percentage of programmers, there's about 50-60% of programmers that feel burnt out. So if everything is so good, why it is so bad?
Yes.
Whoa.
I think there might be many reasons for that. One, I think, will be that many people who shouldn't become programmers in the first place are becoming programmers despite having no passion, no qualifications, nothing, and they just feel that it's not for them after some time.
That's another very interesting point. I like it. It's but on the other hand, everybody hears, hey, if you want to keep your job within 10 years, you have to learn the basics of language X and Y, right? Like people are massively outside of the industry are massively encouraged to change their careers. Yeah. Challenge it, please.
I think that this is a big mistake when we are trying to drag people into this place that don't even really want to be in this place. And also, there is one aspect to being a programmer is that you like learning new things, you like exploring, and this might be why programmers might be more comfortable because they know that if they lose one job with one tech, they will be able to learn another tech. And I don't think that like a lot of people, I think that there are many people who don't like to learn new things or don't like to learn new things that much.
I mean, do you think there's hope for them at all? Like outside of in this programming industry, like if you don't like learning new things, you probably be stuck when old useless career anyway.
Can you accept a comment or a question from a person like myself?
Okay. Okay.
I speak with a lot of programmers and developers every single day on many different topics, and I have noticed that many people are in this for the money. In other words, they realize that they can earn lots and lots of money because there's plenty of jobs and everyone needs a good developer these days. And so my question is the quality of your work as important as the amount of money that you can earn? In other words, it's easy to give up on a project and move on to the next for the next salary. And then I feel that maybe this is a result of like the quality of, the standard falling for everyone, if that is the case.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I exactly agree with you. Like I run, let's just say 40, 50 people of developers. And one of the things, especially when you see you're switching job, the money is good. It's just you see that. And another thing is also is Poland, because like if you're in Switzerland, you cannot work more than 100%. You can get two jobs. You can get like a 60% job and a 40% job. And you guys are very good with math, right? So that's 100%. But here it's just like, so what do you do? And I was like, yeah, I have 2 full-time jobs, but I'm still available on the weekends. And I was like, how do you do that? And I was like, but don't worry about it. I still have like Tuesdays if you really want me to do some coding for you, right?
But It's the same actually with every career. Like 10 years ago, 5 years ago, we had a boom with startups and people who really didn't have the calling of an entrepreneur and were not prepared to, fall down all the time and then fail and fail again. Those people were getting into the entrepreneurship, right? That field, and that's a disaster too. So that's I would say that's a rule of thumb.
I mean, entrepreneurship had this amazing, let's just say, TechCrunch effect. That's what literally they call it. And they just basically say out of 10 startups, one of them just succeed. And they will only focus on that 1%. And that 1% also, you only see them at the top of the mountain. You would not really see all the troubles that they had on the downside. They don't talk about the depression. They don't talk about all the struggles that you have just to go on the top. That's why people that are on the bottom, and I was like, oh my God, that guy got $100 million. Like, I'm just going to talk about it. And I was like, but you didn't talk about those 9 people that they did not have anything, nor at the same time, let's just say, I mean, like even Piotr, like he's a full stack developer, like he could do whatever he wants, but he's also running a company. So you have this complex. Should I just sit down and do my coding by myself, or should I have to go out and try to build a business? Can we just have also one of the opinions of people who just basically are both entrepreneurs and the programmers, just to see how they would see this? They just call it the conflicts or these differences. Somebody?
Any entrepreneurs in the room? Oh, here we go.
We have some allies in the back.
10 years ago, yes, in 2011, okay.
Can you repeat the question? What was that?
I like it.
I forgot.
Just want to clarify, just to make sure. I'm just saying there is this difference between the fact of just sitting down, getting your salary and just being totally safe, or try to basically do the venture, like just really risk all of those things and then try to see what's going to be on the top of the mountain and with all the troubles you have.
So for me, it's like, I'm actually this guy who is too stupid to go to work and make money and have a family and everything. I was actually really, really interested into solving a problem. And I actually don't recommend it, I'll be honest with you. And that's because it's just too stressful. And when you go and have a money and you can basically let go of this need of, oh, I want to be rich. I want to be seen like on a TechCrunch or whatever. This is like BS. It's not going to make you happy. But you go into this venture so far that you don't want to, you want to finish it. You want to see some resolve. So I think it's really just a chance. Like you just find yourself in this situation, and yeah.
When you say result, do you mean financially or personally? Yeah.
What's my motivation?
Result.
At the microphone, maybe.
The result is to see the vision, pan out. This you see it resolve.
Can I also maybe do something else? It's kind of an exercise. We can go back to the previous question. How many of you guys have your boss right now in the room? Just raise your hand. So, okay, good. So you guys don't answer this question, okay? It's just for the others. How many of you think that your boss is stupid? Just raise your hand. Because I genuinely think a lot of people that they are programmers and they want to be entrepreneurs, that's their problem.
Let's give them a chance to elaborate on this. Anybody who wants to elaborate on this? I'm really curious.
Oh my God, look at this. How many people are fired right now? Just
You called me. It's funny because we already broke the ice with this subject. So even if you're a boss, you don't have to be really the most clever in the room. However, I wanted to answer your question because as you said, I'm both a full stack developer and later I opened Xfang. So because of that, I have this perspective. How it's different, But when you had actually a very good salary and a base for your comfort, for your economical comfort, it was a much easier decision for me to open a company. So it's a natural step forward after some time, and and that's what I think. And with regarding to being clever and smart, I think it's some kind of maturity issue, because when you understand the
Complexity.
variety of complexity of a business, I'm absolutely aware that 90% of my decisions are stupid, and I tell them, yeah, they were stupid. However, I need to have a faster feedback loop to learn, and the company needs it, and everyone who's sharing and doing, making the decision happen also takes then the responsibility for it. So they're helping me, and the whole company works more organically when you actually make the mistake and when you're stupid. So maybe it's good for a boss to be stupid, actually.
Can I ask also maybe?
Or at least have this attitude of admitting that sometimes you make mistakes and you're not, and know it all, right?
I'm going to ask another question. And this is a very hard one. And by the way, you have a cheat sheet because there is already an answer to that. If you don't mind, I will get back to that. We're half an hour and we're just going to change everybody's course of life forever. So, be ready. So guys, this is a complicated one. How many of you think 2 + 2 = 4? You see, all of you that did not raise your hand, you're the people that you're good entrepreneurs. That's the test. Like I've lived both lives, As an engineer, 2 + 2 = 4. And if somebody says no, you stand up and I was like, how dare you? Let me explain it to you. But you see how Piotr explained. I still don't know if exactly what he said is entrepreneurship is good or is bad. He's a good entrepreneur, Entrepreneurs are living the shadow,
No, it's the question to an accountant, I think. The accountants, they're never sure. And how much is it supposed to be? You tell me.
It depends, right?
Guys, does it mean Jean-Claude Van Damme is a great entrepreneur? Because according to Van Damme, I don't know if you know who is Van Damme.
Van Damme.
Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Yes.
Yeah, we've heard.
I don't know him personally, but...
Because according to Van Damme, 1 + 1 is not 2, but maybe 11. So
this is what my 3-year-old son thinks, actually.
I just want to smoke what he is smoking, but...
Okay.
Do you have a question?
Yes. Oh, it's Artur. Okay, one moment, please. I'm hurrying to you, Artur.
Thank you. So I want to give my thoughts on the fact of who's starting your company when you are safe. So I think there is this magic factor of 40 people in a company, and this is the most important thing, because once you pass there, I know company owners, especially software house owners. And also I have a question to you, Maria, but later after this, maybe next question. And I think
maybe after the program.
Yeah, maybe after maybe after the program. But I think this is like this is 40 people. This is the number of 40 people, because this is, for me, this is the threshold. Like, this is also from financial perspective, but for me, 40 people is like, if you are an expert and you really are performant in this, what you are doing, then 40 people is a group of people that you can replace, especially if they are like not experienced. But once you pass, for me, once you pass this 40 people, then you must be crazy. And this implies that you need to be stupid to some extent to risk your safety. Once you hire the 31st person, you are already risking your safety, because you won't be able to replace all of your obligations, financial, like you start to rely on your people. You can't get rid of them. You can't, if they all quit, you are gone. So I think this is the stupidity. But in order to achieve great goals, we have to have people who are risking, because the smartest people on earth aren't doing programming. They are receiving Nobel Prizes, and we don't have any Nobel Prize receivers here. So I think this is great.
First, ask the question. Don't get assumptions. But
so this is 40 people, and if somebody is really
you get the question?
So
was it a statement or a question?
So the statement is that this is 40 people.
So this was the statement part, because you said you have a question.
Just saying Artur was sharing thoughts.
So I would say that Piotr isn't that stupid in the end, because so far...
Oh, I never said that. I mean, how dare you? Like,
because so far, he didn't pass...
Where did you get that part of that? Are you guys plotting against me?
It's
or
a special day. Maybe you should vote. What do you think about it?
No,
The
so
scale
my,
of 1 to 10.
So my answer is that as
I
long
think,
as
Piotr,
you
I'm going to
are-
walk back
as
home.
lo-
So
as long as you are safe in your skills and earning money as a full stack developer, let's say, then as long as you don't have more than 40 employees, you are safe because you are self-sustainable.
So I'm thinking, there's the thought coming. So are developers risk averse? Are there people who are not eager to take risks, discover, I don't follow their visions? Are people like you? Tell me more about yourself. Are you then people who prefer safety over the adventure?
How many prefer safety?
come on, be honest. Come
How
on,
many
really?
people prefer,
Like,
I want the thing that's guaranteed in the bank, yeah? How many people are risk takers in the room? How many really risk takers? Come on, raise them high, be proud, do it with your chest. Okay, those are your entrepreneurs.
Okay.
I'm listening.
but you know, one of the healthy checks that I also do, how many of you guys can raise your hand? You see, like, that's my problem. You see, like, then you get the failure rate in the middle, it's just like, they don't want to answer. It's just like, it's like, my hand is
safe.
really
That's the
hurting.
safe approach.
They're afraid of the risk and then raising the hand.
Look, all of those people who didn't raise hands, they are looking for safety.
They're risk averse. But we're not judging. We're not judging here. It's like some people are risk averse, others are.
No, because one thing else that we also have in common is also the fact of being mentor. And one of the factors that you always have to have is this common language with people. Like if you never did programming and if you really want to give advice to a programmer, that's always the hardest part. And frankly speaking, I mean, I'm a hardware engineer. That's why I always learned programming just enough just to be able to communicate with the hardware. So I was never really, let's just call myself like a hardcore programmer. But now I just feel that I would understand a bit. Like that example I really like, it was like, you create a code with AI with like 2 hours, and then it takes you 24 hours to debug it. I understand that part. I don't know how to do that, but at least I can translate those parts. That's also something that maybe because we're almost in the end of our time, and I just don't want the Piotr to, we already called him stupid apparently. I just don't want to also over time, pass our time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh, that's it? Oh, sorry. Well, as a full stack developer, like I'm looking forward for I have a smart boss, so I don't complain. But at the same time, I have ChatGPT now, and it's this is why I'm looking forward now. So I can still work for my boss, but still in the near future, hopefully this will give me much more time, so I can actually implement my ideas and at the same time still working for my smart boss. So I'm just giving some hope for those people who are thinking, should I quit or not? I would say, okay, you are like a full stack developer, high in demand, you can negotiate the time you are working. So 4 hours, for example, for your boss, and other 4 hours for you, and this win-win. So just want to share this idea. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Just as a master of ceremony, how much time do we have?
You guys have about 5 more minutes, and I also, you're inspiring so many questions that I ask every day. I mean, in other words, is your job just a job, or is your work something that you stand behind, that represents you? I mean, for me, there's a huge difference between a job and my work. I do plenty of different types of work, and to be honest, I don't consider any of them jobs. So this is just me. I wonder, how many people consider their work a job? How many people really love what they do and their work is their work? So what's up with the rest of you? Which is it? You can't decide. Sometimes
Their arms really hard.
Sometimes it's just a job, and sometimes it really is something that you stand behind and you believe in. I guess that's what they mean. I'm not sure.
Let me just ask a different question, if you don't mind, because that's also it goes in the same smooth way. How many of you guys, if you would have like a basic salary, you would just quit? Just you get your money, just basic income, universal income, and then you will just don't need to work. You all stay at your work? Nobody will quit?
Who would quit?
There are too many opportunities out
Two
there.
people.
Please elaborate. Give them the microphone.
Who is it? Who was that? Who was that? No, keep it up there. Keep it up. Don't hide now. You said you would quit if you were guaranteed. Quit doing what? Quit what?
How many of you guys know Mr. Beast also? Nobody? Oh my God, you guys don't watch YouTube.
All right, so it's going to be tricky. So it was the opposite, right? Would I leave if I got the basic income, right?
Yeah.
I would certainly leave.
Okay. So, but why?
You know, there are so many opportunities, right? We as a people are quite smart. We are not limited to doing one thing, right? Programming is just one thing, but if I would like to be, I could be even a pilot, whatever, right? It just takes some learning, different path. And yeah, you want to do things that give you some solid, you know, feedback, like earnings and stuff like this, that shows your work is appreciated and really valued, right? So that would be it for me.
So we've heard just the first downside of, you know, an optional downside, because I believe it's not that every case.
Actually, there is a program in Germany running in testing whether everyone should get his base salary and just quit working for the rest of his life. In Switzerland, this mic is weird. In Switzerland, it's already applied, so people tried it out and they actually went to work. So because eventually you need work as a human being, I guess. I have a question regarding to something else. I've been hit by many people asking me to develop their next unicorn company, and the question is there a formula how to divide the company between an entrepreneur who has the money and the one who has the brain cells to do the job that the other one cannot do?
Brain cells.
If you find someone with brain and money, then that's a unicorn.
There's no magic formula for that. Is that the answer?
No, but for this universal basic income, there was a research, I think, first in Finland, and it was for the unemployed people, and apparently most of them found a job afterwards, because what it takes from you, it doesn't take from you the passion to work, apparently, because then you start thinking of what you do as a work, or mission or career rather than a job. But it's you know, takes away all the worries. So how am I going to pay my rent? How am I going to feed my children? So those worries are gone, and you can really focus to find a proper job. You don't settle for like first thing that comes, so you can, you know, pay your rent at the end of the month. So it's actually, I don't know, it's the magic of this UBI, but it's just logical, right? You don't take a first thing that comes, so you start wondering what you want to do, and you take something that comes maybe third or fourth.
Totally true. Okay. But if you don't mind, because there's a definition of unicorn that is also a problem, because I really like that most of you guys, at least on the surface right now, we're agreeing that we're all just doing what we love, and we're very altruistic, and I think all of us are going to go to heaven, and all of those things on the side. But one of the things I really like about the definition of unicorn, they say unicorn is a startup that touches 1 billion people's lives. Because like when we keep talking about money, and I was like, oh, I don't want money, but I was like, I want to build the next unicorn. And I was like, but why do you care if your company makes $1 billion when all you really want to do is not really something that, let's just say, you are trying to get money out of that, right?
You just make covers. That's why, like, you know, your face is everywhere. I think it's more the ego thing than money thing. Like sometimes it's both.
That's such an important thing. Guys, I know that this is not a question that I can ask, and I'm just going to have an honest answer out of that. But how many of you guys are doing what you do because you want to look cool? Because you know what I mean? Even if you raise your hand, you see, that's honesty. That's honesty. That's something that you have to say, you know what? I don't care what other people think about me. I do what I love. I do that when I go back home, I just feel like, you know what? I am proud of myself. I don't care what other people think I am. I'm not going to just say that I'm going to work for that brand of that company because that's the perfect things to do. I just do what is meaningful to me. And I see a lot of people just go back home, and I was like, Mom, you know what I'm doing? And then my mom goes out, and I was like, you know what? I finally managed to make my mom happy, you know? But I was like, are you happy deep down, you know? And it was like, I have 2 houses and I made 3 unicorns. And then after that, you come back home, and it was like, I'm miserable, but I'm just going to wipe my face happy because I'm going to go back tomorrow. And I just want to make sure everybody thinks I'm the most successful person in the world. Just talk to people. Elon Musk literally at some point a few weeks ago literally just said that Twitter was about the fact that he was really feeling that his life is empty and he wanted to add something more to that. Like, you can be the richest man on earth and still just literally just have the worst loss in the universe ever just because you feel empty. And that's the thing that you can go from the bottom. Forget about even joining a company who wants to build the next unicorn. Just try to do something that you have a meaningful life, and that's really priceless.
So we're about to finish, I think. So what are the points you'd like to wrap up this
You
chat
guys,
with?
you do have more time. You realize the organizers have told me that we can extend your segment, this chat, until 9 o'clock if you would like to.
Last night we were at the bowling, and they told us that if you just write a review on Google, they will give us 20 more minutes. So I think that's also how it works. You know, it's just like I think we had good reviews, and they're just extending our time.
And before I give this comment, this man wants to make another comment. I want to say that disruptive technology, you know, anything that people can really use. If you're going to create something, make it useful. This is the thing that creates. You're calling it a unicorn. This is what I think they refer to as disruptive technology. And the reason why it's disruptive is because the old patterns of the way we used to think, people need this and will use it. So think about being a service to people, and what you can provide that is providing a service, giving something to people that they need, as opposed to what you're going to get in return. Here we go.
I totally agree, and I think the best way to contribute to that, in my opinion, is through programming skills. Personally, I encourage everyone who is not happy with his profession or for any reason to become a programmer because you will enjoy it. If you don't like your current profession, try programming, you will enjoy it. And in my opinion, you can enjoy your job even if you are not passionate about it. So, and regarding the base salary, in my opinion, it depends on the country. In France, people got used to it, so they enjoy it. So I think countries where people are not used to it, maybe they will think they won't do it. But if you transfer them in an environment where people they enjoy social benefits, they will quit their job and enjoy the social benefits. In France, for example, if you are a French citizen, you are not allowed to be a homeless person because there are social accommodation for everyone. If you are a French citizen, you can enjoy. So there are plenty of options. It depends on the country, I think.
Are you more promoting France or programming? Because I was just a little bit in the end. Like...
I'm promoting the fact that we have several options.
We can choose.
Exactly, depending on the country.
You know, that brings communism to mind. I've heard like stories about in the old days when they used to say, well, you know, just as long as I get my 500 zloty, you know, I'll do a little work or maybe I won't, and it didn't matter. This reminds me, there's a comparison to be made there. What do you have to say?
Yeah, hi. Like I remember we're talking a lot about stupid people, right? And actually, my opinion is actually technology makes us a lot more stupid, and it's expected to increase in 10 years. I started to use technology a lot less in my leisure time as a developer, and I feel like I'm regaining some of my brain cells. And I think, like, you know, it's quite a heavy feat, like, you know, to look in the forward section. And with ChatGPT and overall, teachers are even like struggling how to make children read and so on. On long term, it's quite disintegrating our society in general.
I remember you now. Yeah, you gave a talk a couple of months ago. I remember that conversation. You have a response?
I think it's you know, you made a point. There are people who are creating technology who hold the power, and people who, you know, who are recipients of the end product, which probably, you know, I know that you probably talk about social media or certain games or certain video content that is not, you know, educational. So does it mean that entrepreneurs have this extra responsibility? Developers, sorry, and entrepreneurs probably too. Do they have this extra responsibility?
Do you want to have a question, or you wanted to put it back into?
No, I wanted to say something, but this isn't exactly the answer to your question. So maybe I'll say it, and then we'll have some answer. Yeah, sure.
Sorry.
The question, it was about
responsibility. Do you think, like, do you guys raise your hands if you feel like leaders who have responsibility? Bravo. That's quite a lot. Okay.
Yeah, in general, I don't know how to face the issue. Like, obviously, like it's as well about getting higher like salary and stuff. And as a developer as well, I don't really assume what I'm making is anything useful for the universe in general. And I think it applies for most developers. Usually, we're just milking and recreating some things that are already out there. I think, I don't know if you know, the only good thing, in my opinion, happened this year is nuclear fusion. That is actually the only good thing, I think. ChatGPT, I think it's as well disrupting. It has a lot of solutions. I use it as well at work, but it has as well like implications of people being more impulsive and finding fast solutions, not reading books that are actually quite beneficial for being patient and stuff.
But if you don't mind, as much as what you say is pretty much mainstream, and I'm not going to be Joe Rogan here, but I genuinely don't think technology is making us stupid. Like, if you take a look at like Library of Alexandria, I mean, I already have it in my phone. And I'm not a king who basically just, you know, like give people to all around the world just to bring all of their best books to my place. I would not be able to get a 2,000-page book, you know, like under my, you know, like a belt, and then try to be on a horse and then try to go back to my work just to try to just be the smartest person. The fact that I have the proper use of technology, I think is good.
Yeah, but I think there was a tweet saying, "Oh, I believe that giving everybody information available at their hand would make them, you know, smarter." And that person says, "I was so much wrong," right? So it's about, you know, what you start with, and then when you choose your sources, right? What you like, you have to be educated enough to, as you were saying before, like during your leisure time, not to use that much technology, or you know, spend your time doing something else.
I
Like,
agree with
I don't think that the primary usage of internet is the Alexandria library.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you, but I also can maybe connect something with the quality of life in France. I also really like the fact that when you are not bounded by a lot of, let's just call it, basics of your life, then you started to become more and more altruistic, and you become, let's just say, more aware of what you're doing, right? So if let's just say, if I don't have to memorize everything, but rather my phone would show me those things, then I think of what more profound things I can say. But if I don't have the technology, then I have to have calculus, then I have to have Mendeleev table, and then I am not going to really do what I really want to do with my life. That's the main part for me.
Yeah. And that's because you're a creator. That's how you're made. Not everyone is going to have the same reaction. Some people really will use technology and just.
But on top of that, I'm also a mentor. So if anybody would need, I mean, some of you guys know me. Like, I don't say no to people, you know, and that's also the point that I genuinely think. Nobody can do everything by themselves. I mean, way more than me. I mean, you're running the whole mentorship program by yourself. And that is the point, that sometimes when you see that I have the mindset, but I don't have all of those intelligent people around me, then I create this hub to bring all of those intelligentsia around myself, and then try to see how I can nourish them.
Yeah, I think this think about the technology making people, you know, stupid is not about people, you know, here and probably in the, you know, in this bubble.
I think that there are many aspects to technology, and probably there are some forms of technology that we shouldn't be using at all, and that are making us worse or stupid or are harmful to us. But for example, in technologies like AI, that was the topic of one of the talks, I think that if anything, it mostly reveals our own weaknesses, and the problem lies within humans, not within machines. For example, some artists are angry and feel entitled to their earnings, to the jobs that they have, or some people are offended and angry at the words that are spewed out by the robot, or some other people feel very unsafe, especially people in nice cabinets, because people, every average Joe could like ask AI how to make a Molotov cocktail. So I think that these are all human issues, not AI issues.
I totally agree, and not to step on anybody's toes, but I didn't even like the word AI, because first of all, what is artificial? I have this good friend Tony. He is a primatologist. And I love talking to Tony. Like, we talk, and it was like, so what do you think is going to happen if you bring a chimpanzee as a leadership, you know, as a president of a country? And with such a confidence, he explains how many wars we're going to have and how genders are going to treat each other, and like what is going to be the hierarchy, because he knows, because deep down, us as humans versus machines, we're one of the species that are on this planet. Why like artificial general intelligence, even that's almost what I understand. But when you say artificial intelligence versus us, and I was like, just wait for the GPT-4 to come, and then you will just have this sense of, then it's just intelligence and non-intelligence.
I agree. I agree.
And if you go in that part, you know what is the funny part? Then we're going to be the non-intelligence one. Then we're not going to have a human intelligence. And then AI would just come back and it was like, we have intelligence and non-intelligence, the one with the meat. And that's the part that we really have to understand. Then what is my value here?
Can I just make a comment, Maria? I know you're amazing that you're in the position that you are in, and also raising 2 children. So I just want to say that. Do all of you guys who do the work that you do you understand that this technology that we are manifesting in the world is actually a manifestation of how our minds work? We're actually projecting ourselves outward. It's not an independent thing, which is artificial. That's my view. Does anyone agree with that? A few people? Quite a few? Yeah, that's what's happening. This intelligence, or the way that it gathers information, is the same way that we would if we were able to be 50 people in 50 places at the same time. We're literally replicating our mental processes and the design of our mind in the external world. And thank God you know how to do that, because I could never do it. However, that's how I perceive the technology in general, and especially this artificial intelligence. So I just thank you for saying that, because I agreed with you. Someone else?
If you don't mind, I'm just going to, as long as we don't have that much questions, because you mentioned the bubble part, and I think that's also a huge problem. If any of you guys can have an answer to that, or we can just even try to talk about it maybe first by ourselves. How would you get out of your bubble?
Well, apparently you try to first, if you want to get, very extreme opinions, first, like easiest from this armchair, you go to a social media, one of the social media, and you try to, get involved in the places that you haven't visited before. So that's from the armchair here right now.
I genuinely have friends that if I talk about a startup with them, they will punch me in the face. You know what I mean? And I love them, because then they put me down in my place. If I talk about my RORs versus KPIs in the OKRs, in the AML, and in the ML, and I was like, dude, chill. Like, what are you talking about? How is your day going? And that's the way that I kind of try to stay human. Because on deep down, when we just are in like, oh, you know what, I'm not even going to talk to you because you do like open source and I'm into that part, it's just like, or like, I'm not going to talk to you because you work for the competition. Some of us have such a small bubble that we're only going to be fine if you're never going to burst that part. And I love what you said about the living in a bubble, because to some extent, bubble is that comfort that we all have. And it's so hard to, just poke in it and burst it.
I believe that you have people around you with whom you don't agree, but I guess still those are people from kind of, the similar background, people working in similar industries or on a similar level, there's, I believe that you don't, maybe you talk to your neighbors from time to time, and maybe, this is more random, right? People who live at your building, but probably even not, because you live in a neighborhood that you chose and you like, and you have money to pay the rent at that, particular place. So I wouldn't say that, the fact that you don't agree with
mentioned my rent, and I'm thinking about inflation, so I'm not sure if I have the money right now, but go for it.
I guess, now we're in Prague, that used to be, like not the fanciest neighborhood, but it's getting, fancy at the moment. So,
Thanks to Google also. So,
yes. People who live around them, they thank Google for,
I mean, when they started doing this, that was a huge move. I mean, like bringing Google in the middle of the right side of the river, and,
and we have an expat saying it.
I mean,
it turned out to be the right side. Actually, the correct.
I'm here for 11 years, so it's just like, how many of you guys are from Warsaw? Yeah, you see, that's an average that I can see. Even I would say it's above average. You know, it's just like sometimes I walk around place with my.
Did you raise
Polish
your
friends.
hand that you're from Warsaw?
I mean, no, I'm, you know, this part still doesn't fit. So it's just like.
Okay, so I'm from Warsaw too.
Oh,
then.
we can talk about it so much. Like I was sitting in my office, like I was just trying to go there, and I just said, this guy is just coming, and I was like, hey, we have a meeting, let's go. And we're just like, I'm sorry, but like I don't know if you know each other. And then he looked at his friend. I was like, oh, sorry, I was looking for somebody from your neighborhood. So I'm still trying to find my neighborhood. You know, it's like I was just sitting again another time, sitting somewhere, and the guy came back to me. I was like, you really look like the CEO of Microsoft. And I was just like, I mean, I'm not sure if you guys know how the CEO of Microsoft looks like, but I don't look like him. And then he was just again coming back to me, and then he said that, like, but you're from which part of India? And I was like, I'm from Iran. And then he just scratched his head and left. You know, so it's just like, I don't think anybody would ever. I was in Hungary, and I was speaking about fintech in Poland. And the guy came and he said that Polish fintech is one of the global leaders in the banking system, and everything is amazing. And I was the only Polish person there. And then I just went there, and I was like, I'm so happy that to see somebody is promoting the Polish banking system. And he said that you should be proud of your country. And then I look at him and I was like, this is the only country that ever somebody would call me Polish and call that my country. I would love to have it happen, but let's just say give me another 20 years and then maybe see what would happen.
Maria and Ahmad, we have about 5 more minutes left. I was just wondering if you would like to make some, final comments or some statements. Are you?
To me.
Would you like another? Can you take another question or?
Is it like?
Yeah, I think we should have a question limit. Yes. So what I think can happen is you need to do this right now.
Is it that important?
This better be a question.
Can you hear
Artur.
no for an answer?
Like a real concise question. Are you ready? Yeah, I'll even give you the big microphone.
Okay, so I will stand during asking this question. So Maria and Ahmed, this is a question to you. Let's wait for them.
Sorry?
So this is a question to you. As we are on the 100th WarsawJS, so Ahmed, I don't know that much, before you came here, I didn't know that much about you, but yes. But I know what Maria is doing, and you were joking a little bit at the beginning, but I know that you are in touch with free. I thought you were going to sing Eminem without me. I know that I assume both of you have experience with entrepreneur people, but also like you are here, so you are also trying to stay in touch with tech people. And my question to you is, as we are on the 100th WarsawJS meetup, what do you think, who benefits more on WarsawJS presence in Warsaw, in this right part in quotes? And are those programmers, or are those people entrepreneurs who benefit from programmers? For example, this is my inspiration for you. Who benefits more? Programmers, that we are exchanging knowledge here, like you have seen here, or entrepreneurs who can benefit from the fact that their employees are exchanging knowledge? Thank you very much.
Woo! Thank you. Wow. I was expecting, something like, I don't know, connected with the 100th birthday and stuff. But, it's my first time here on this JS Warsaw. So I would probably ask other people, we could ask people, hey, who do on the scale 1 to 5, who does benefit more? But, I believe like nobody would be here. Like the developers, you wouldn't guys be here if you didn't see value in those meetings, right? In the exchange of ideas, the knowledge exchange, and all that. Does anybody have a boss who tells him, "Hey, go to that WarsawJS meeting"?
Because Piotr asked us to do.
Okay, there are some, a couple of people. Are those people who raised hands working for Piotr? Everybody? Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, you see, like nobody is being, probably everybody benefits from that, I hope.
But Maria, like No, but that's the
Maybe-
point. No, this is such a wrong question, to be honest with
Not
you.
a zero-sum
wait
game,
for
Arthur.
it. Wait for it. Look, like I remember literally at Google when they wanted to open up the campus, and the whole idea of what really campus wants to do was build an ecosystem. Your question is like when Earth and Sun, like they're just, like are in an ecosystem, which one benefits most? That's the issue. I mean, you're definitely at least talking with two people that they are ecosystem builders. Like, I think if we are doing our job properly, everybody has to benefit equally. Another thing that, again, you do, and I give you two, let's just say, comments. One is not very good, and the other one is very good, is the fact that you have to be very more precise. Like you said about the background of me and background of Maria, and that was totally relevant, but then you just say who benefits most. So be more concise. But you are loud enough and you get the microphone, so you benefit more than others because you're louder and you go there and get your right. The rights are not being given, like you have to take it.
And we all suffer, yes.
I mean, that's the second part that we should, that's the second.
No, to come on.
No, we need you. But outside of that,
Programmers, do the programmers have the sense of humor?
no, but outside of that, you have to really believe that we are an ecosystem. And you really have to believe that everything that is happening to some extent is affecting somebody else in that part. And that is the point, that by having an ecosystem, hopefully all of us are just going to enjoy it the same way and we're going to just benefit it the same way.
Maria?
Bravo.
Maria?
Okay, I think it's time for to wrap up.
But can we do what you
No,
said?
there's no but. I just wanted to, if there would be like 3 takeaways from this chat. I mean, for everybody, probably there are different things. So think about it in your head. What would be the 3 new things that you thought, okay, that would be useful for yourself in the future? If you want to share.
New things, did you say?
Yeah, something that maybe not new, but something that someone gave you a new perspective on.
I like the last part where you said to understand that everything is interconnected and that, in other words, there's no winners and losers, that everything feeds everything else and we're an ecosystem. And if we think this way, we communicate more clearly and we're more specific and we understand that there's value in everything. That's what I really liked. I really appreciated that part. Who else took something away from this that they want to share? Oh, come on. I know you got
I love that we
something out
didn't
of
teach
this.
anybody anything. It's just
I like that part very much. Oh, here we have another one.
So enjoyable.
Maybe that, I'm not sure if it was actually mentioned, but maybe that entrepreneurs and programmers have a lot in common, that they both are professions that solve problems, and really humility pays off, and also not being entangled in some, let's call it BS, also is beneficial for both professions. They are both really grounded, and that's why they can find common language and talk about both of those fields and communicate. And many of those problems and solutions or types of solutions that they have will be maybe even similar.
Thank you. I just want to say 2 things. And maybe the second one is going to be for mainly for both of us. Like, I really like this quote that they say, like, I never close a book before I will understand something out of that. And I also really want to say thank you guys, because it's like, even though we're apparently on the stage, but I really learned something. So because you guys didn't say that part, so I thought I'm going to say it on my side. And
I'm impressed with the participation and your questions, and you really gave us a lot of insight.
And wink, wink, diversity. I mean, mainly in the line of thoughts, but guys, try to do something that the next time we're going to come here, we're just going to at least have 50% girls. So we will see, like what we can do out of that with Piotr. But I also really want to say thank you for putting all of this together. However, this is your...
Bravo, bravo,
Yes.
bravo.
So from what I understood, this is your 100th birthday, and this is also the 100th times that Piotr organizes his event. So
Wait a minute, I was
wondering-
only kidding about the 100. Okay, anyway.
I'm going somewhere with that. So I was wondering, as long as also this is almost 9 o'clock, and this is, it's a time that usually people go party, in people outside of that. At least I just want to see how many of you guys know how to sing happy birthday here. And then we're just going to like bring the birthday boys.
Może być 100 lat?
Yes.
No, wszyscy wiedzą. Umiecie, tak? Śpiewać 100 lat. Gotowi
Yeah.
jesteśmy?
So-
Mi. 100 lat, 100 lat, niech żyje, żyje nam. 100 lat, 100 lat, niech żyje, żyje nam. Jeszcze raz, niech żyje, żyje nam. Louder! Niech żyje nam. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for participation. Thank you for your enthusiasm. And I hope you're going to join us on the party. We're going to Chmury to 11 listopada 22. After the pizza and the networking, and also a surprise. We have also a surprise for tonight. So we're still staying here. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, guys. It was a great song.
Thank you.
Ahmed and Marie. Give them a big hand. Give them a welcome applause. Actually, stand up, everybody. Come on, let's go. You're going to leave anyway. Stand up. Give them an applause. This is 100 meetings, and this is the first time we tried this kind of discussion. I'm surprised that people had anything to say at all, because you guys, you're not the most outwardly expressive types usually.
No, we left them speechless.
I
That
was
the
very,
point.
very impressed with that, and I really hope you enjoyed that half as much as I did. Once more for Ahmed and Maria. Give them a hand. Thank you so much. So, as Piotr mentioned, there's not much left, is there? There's plenty. Oh, right, that part. Okay, so as you may know, is anyone here for the first time? Just let me see your hand. So you're not expecting this, but there's going to be pizza. I know, I'm a funny guy. So listen, you guys, once again, we need to do one more thing, and this is important because it's one of our greatest main sponsors. I think Łukasz is from that company. The company is CallStack, and they're about to do a contest. So, stretch your legs, stretch your brain, and get ready for this. I'm not sure what they're giving away. However, oh yeah, I remember now. Yes, what kind of items? Yeah, a few silly items. So guys, get ready. Sharpen your brains and your pencils and everything else. You ready?
Yeah, hello. I feel silly coming into this stage after this talk and after talk about AI. I will not take much time. I will not let Artur speak, believe me. So I do have a quiz with some rewards. Piotr, can you please help me connect my computer to the screen? Yeah. So I wish I prepared more. I made this quiz for 2 hours today. I have like 5 maybe questions, and we have maybe 5 rewards to give out. So Goha will be giving out the awards, and the best one is, I guess, a backpack. So yeah, I will start with a best question that I could come up with today. And my screen is not working. Yeah, this is. We're gonna get there somehow. I'm not turning it off because it's been running since I made it 5 hours ago. So I don't want to turn off my Create React app. I don't know if it's gonna start or not. Can we do this? You know what? I have HDMI. Yeah. Okay, I can start explaining what the quiz is gonna be about. So we are in WarsawJS, so you are mostly probably a front-end developers. So I guess 70% of you know React. Yeah. Thanks so much. Okay. So 70% of you probably know React. So I'm gonna do some React quiz. And first question that I have, look here. I have this create React app that I did today. And my first question is 2 questions at the same time. Best reward from all of them. What version of React am I using? And how would you know without looking in my package.json? Okay.
Because of the newest, like because they removed the import of React in the top of the file?
Actually, you could do that with some Bubble plugin beforehand. So you could use React 17 and still not have the, I think it's called, you need import React to have a JSX transpile, and you can add JSX transpile without that, without React version that I have.
The answer is use effect.
Okay. Expand, please.
You asked how would I know which version is the newer one?
Yeah.
In the old one, there was no use effect. You could use poly. Like
That
you
is
could use some
that is not true, actually.
Native.
We promise not to let Arthur speak. So use effect is actually half good of the answer, but use effect was in React previously, before 18. But use effect has this weird pattern. So if I run this,
Is it the correct answer or no?
it's not, no. Okay. What about this use effect? Come on.
So they were patching console log, and in previous React, you would see only one output to console.
Yeah, this is a correct answer. So somehow.
In fresh versions of React, you will see 2 times subscribe to API if you run React app in dev mode.
It's the other way around. So in 18th version of React, they made a change to their, how do you say, to their strict mode. So if you run your app in a strict mode, it's gonna unmount the component after it mounts it the first time. So in here, you will see console log twice because it's gonna mount, unmount, and mount again. So use hook will run 2 times, but, and that was my next question to you.
If the answer is in reverse, is it correct? There's a difference between...
Let's give out 2 smaller prizes to both people that spoke, okay?
Bravo.
You both had half of the answer. So without strict mode, it's gonna do the same thing as it did in 17. So that's the first silly quiz. Okay, let's go on. My application does nothing, but if I click here to increase the counter, I have the current counter is 4 and counter mode 2. So next question would be...
Do you have the prizes with you right now on the stage?
Goha has the prizes and she should be distributing them right now.
Okay.
But
would you please mind? Because otherwise it gets crazy. We lose area.
Yeah. We'll have 5 different people applying for a backpack.
Exactly. We have that gentleman there in the back who gave half, and that gentleman right there in the center. Thank you very much. Okay.
So that's my main component. And let's throw it out there. Please do a code review for me and let me know what's wrong with this component, how we can improve it. I think there's like 3 or 4 different things that we could change.
Is this a bigger prize?
Yeah, the first one gets the biggest prize.
Does it work? It works. Okay, so firstly, the set count.
Just one. Don't tell everyone every answer.
In the set count, you could do it better, not by count plus 1, by setting an inner function, the set count from count, and then updating it to count plus 1.
Yeah, set count accepts not only the value, but also a function. That's great. Let's, Let's correct this code.
Okay, you're gonna be the winningest guy.
You should add an array of dependencies to the use effect. Otherwise, it will going to subscribe on every update.
Yeah, yes, definitely. What should I include there?
Another answer? You have 4, yes?
Goha will keep track.
Okay, so you're saying there are 4 things that you're looking for in this.
Yeah, let's get 2 more answers. What we can improve in this code? Yes.
So it's not an error in the code. It's 4 things
Well,
that could be improved.
Yeah, there are errors. The code works, but not really good.
You should close the subscription.
Definitely, yes. Yeah, we should unsubscribe on like return function here. So I can call.
That's 3. We have 1 more. 1 more available. Last prize of the evening or no? You have tons of prizes?
Yeah, just the last one. 2 more.
We have 2 more
things.
opportunities to win. Do you still have the backpack? Because I'll try to answer it. Okay.
We have the smaller version of backpack.
Okay.
Go ahead.
It's good. No, I'm just joking. I'm really
Just
not.
try.
Is this you, sir?
So maybe the on-click callback function should be moved to the separate function to not recreate the function on each re-render.
So if I move it to a function here, will this remove the problem?
Yeah, and wrap it in to use callback.
Okay. So if I do use callback, it's gonna not what?
It will cause that the same instance of the function will be
Yeah, the
during
reference will be the
component
same.
lifecycle.
That's a great answer. Yeah.
Thank you.
Woo! And we have 2 more volunteers. 3. About the last prize.
Ah, what a shame. No, I'm joking. You still have more. Yeah. We still want to give
Anyone but Artur.
So you can remove use state and use effect from counter component because it's not needed at all.
Yeah.
And you can calculate count mode in runtime, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. This counter component will actually render twice because we have modified the prop to set into state. So that is not necessary. We can remove that and just do the calculation here. Okay, that was it. Thank you so much. For the rest of you, I have 1 prize as well. You get access to something that we did at ColdStack. It's a guide to optimization for React and React Native. So it is not live yet. It's gonna be live next week, but you have a preview here. So you can download it. Don't share it with anyone because this is an exclusive for this event. Yes. Thank you so much. And thank you, Piotr, for the 100th meeting. Awesome job, man. Thank you.
Wow. And ColdStack comes through with the prizes. I love it. This has made it very exciting. Now, listen, guys, I know that we've been through a lot tonight, and thank you for being so patient and, again, being so kind and cultural. In fact, you were kinder than I was, so I'm very grateful for that. It just so happens that I have to invite Artur Zokniak to the stage. I just had to set you up for that. It just so happens. No more assumptions. How do you know I'm going to like it? Anyway, I'm pleased to have this guy next to me. Can we welcome to the stage Artur Zokniak, please?
So I couldn't, as you can see, I couldn't resist myself to enter the stage because I want to make a confession. Who happens to, who knows what is this? Is there somebody who was on my talk where I have brought this? Okay, we have some people. This is wonderful. So this is a trebuchet. I want to make a confession that, and now we are, thank you for all those harsh words. I know I talk a lot. I want to make a confession that WarsawJS really changed my life. And I'm earning more, I know more, I really like. This is the wildest place in Warsaw, and like I'm taking a lot from you guys. I met wonderful people here, so I brought somebody I really appreciate. And so this is something which I was presenting on my talk, and I would like to, so this is basically, I was explaining that how inspired I was, and today I brought with me Grzegorz, who's creator of this, and I wanted to tell you that, so Grzegorz, can you stand up? So this is, for me, this is really, you know, he doesn't know a word what we are talking about, but Grzegorz, thank you very much, because by looking at your work, you know, I'm keeping this in my house, and I'm looking at this all the time while coming here. So generally, I want to say thank you, Piotr. WarsawJS changed my changed everything what I knew about JavaScript, and I'm really glad that we are meeting here. And yes,
cold pizza. Two
yes,
words. Cold pizza.
and we have now pizza. So thank you very much. I'm very glad that we have this community here. And I think next month I can invite you to my talk. Thank you very much. Once again, have a happy 100th WarsawJS. No more.
Not so fast. So what is this? Did you explain?
So I think we can go this off stage. If somebody would be interested in learning how we can shoot, you know, then.
After all that, you're not even going to tell us what it is?
So this is a trebuchet. This is a replica of Middle Age war machine.
Uh-huh. Thanks. Talk about it later in the networking. Thank you so much, Artur. And thank you, everybody. Thank you. See you next time.
Yeah, and special thanks to CallStack, our main sponsor of our event. And 1 second, yeah, a code QR. There is a code QR for the next meetup. I want to show it, but Luisa, where's the code QR code? Yeah, QR code.
Hold on a second. We're going to share the QR code in a moment for the next meetup.
It's here. 1 second.
Magic. One.
Magic.
Two,
QR code for the next
three.
meetup.
Come on, here we go.
Please.
It's the final step. Come on. Let's get it. Oh, we got it. Just a couple of seconds. Believe me, the pizza's still going to be delicious. And warm.
I have a backup. Maybe this will work. Please.
QR code for the next meetup is queuing up now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
QR code for the next meetup.
Yeah, I know there must be some noise. Sometimes affair. Okay, so please visit our Facebook website or we are on Slack, right? You have a Slack and WarsawJS.com. There is a link to Slack and on Slack and just visit our stories. We will put it on stories. Yeah, we will put it on stories. WarsawJS IG. So WarsawJS _ Instagram. Go to Instagram. There will be the QR code. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.